New Year's Eve in New York City, about 13 miles southeast from Times Square. Aqueduct Racetrack in South Oaklawn Park. When that ball does drop at midnight, who will be New York's leading rider of 2021? With only 4 races remaining this year, we still don't know. 3 jockeys separated by 2 wins, but only 2 are riding today. We'll explain. One of the final 4 races is the featured Robb Stakes. Seafoam 5-2 morning line favorite, winner of the Evan Shipman this summer. And who could forget that scene? First career win for trainer Michelle Giangiulio, and doing so in a stakes race at Saratoga. In just over an hour, Giangiulio may have another stakes race to celebrate. Early Happy New Year from all of us at America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Blustery New Year's Eve at Aqueduct. Exciting storylines, exciting way to close out the year in Durbin racing. Of course, in this sport, we don't have an off-season. We're right back at it tomorrow afternoon, and you're just in time for the late pick 4. Get started in the 5th race coming up in about 6 minutes or so. The 3rd race in that sequence is the Robb Stakes. It's the 43rd running for New York bred's older horses. Here is the field. Number 2, Danny California with Jose Ortiz battling for a riding title. Number 5, Our Last Buck, Manny Franco battling for a riding title. But the favorite, number 4, Seafoam with Michelle Giangiulio 5-2 on the morning line. It's been way too long. Just way too long since I've sat next to this gentleman, New York Racing Association analyst Andy Serling in Saratoga. How you been?
It feels like just yesterday to me. It's funny that it's just, 2 different people could have 2
your
completely
is like
different perceptions of time. It's just, it's amazing, Lafitte, but I can understand why it's been hard for you to be away from me. It's nice to be back, and I enjoyed my few weeks off here, but it's good to be back as we get ready to close out the year. Mandatory payout, and interested to see how these races play out. I didn't get involved in this pick 6 because yesterday with the rain, we had a very big speed track, and I was concerned that we didn't really know how the track was playing. I think from what we've seen now, the last 3 races, we have an extreme speed track that's making it very hard to close, which really changes my opinion of race number 5, where I was dead set against the favorite Blewitt, who I'm still a little circumspect of, but he is the controlling speed against. There's a good chance that he'll get another dressed-up win performance, and I'll look forward to betting against him next time. I'm not enthusiastic about betting against him today, and I think the track is going to help Seafoam as well.
Yes, Seafoam, the favorite in the Robb. You have a Remsen winner in the Robb. He hasn't won since the Remsen in Brooklyn Strong. What do you make of his chances this afternoon? What are you expecting?
They're better than they were in the Derby.
Okay.
Well, I'll say one thing. The only time he ran on a track with moisture in it, though a different racetrack than what he faces today, at least there's some moisture still in this track. Listed as muddy, and I think it is on the muddy side of good, even though it's harrowed. He ran huge in this Remsen. There was no denying it. This was one of the better performances, Lafitte, I thought we saw from a 2-year-old.
Look at the guts, the determination.
No, he was good. And Shook's horse, who finished 2nd, even though he got injured after this and he never really got back to that form when he came back, he was good at this point. He had every reason to win. And Brooklyn Strong ran him down. They probably got a little over-aggressive. I understand trying the wood. Listen, I picked him in the wood, so I can't say it was a bad move running him there. The bad move was my picking him. Running with the Derby, maybe not. They're being more realistic here. He's a non-winners of 3. He can't run a New York bred race for non-winners of 3. So this is where he belongs. Still, not an easy spot.
Fun edition of the Robb New Year's Eve feature. Creeping closer to that late pick 4. We're in the midst of a 2-day pick 6 carryover. As Andy mentioned, mandatory payout last day of the year. Robb is the 7th. Oaklawn 6 races remain. Late pick 5 gets started in the 5th. Good feature, the 8th for 2-year-old fillies. About to turn 3, and maybe your New Year's resolution, Andy loves resolutions, is to play the ponies a little more next year. So we can help you out with that. Join Naira Bet today. Play all the action on our show. Earn up to a $200 deposit match bonus. New members use promo code BONUS200 when signing up and earn up to a $200 deposit match. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Join now at NairaBets.com to earn your $200 deposit match.
You know what? My New
strike me as one being big on resolutions.
My New Year's resolution is to spend more time with you, Lafitte.
Well, you're off to a good start because we're spending 9 hours on the air together tomorrow afternoon.
Right. We're just staying here, right? We're still going to celebrate New Year's right up here at Equestrius, you and I together.
Bringing in the New Year
you and I
alone.
Claude will hang around with us. It'll be the 3 of us for a big party.
Post parade, get to the live racing. $25,000 claimer start of the late pick 4. Getting dark here in South Oaklawn Park.
There's still 3 races to go.
Heavy roller is pictured with Jackie Davis in the saddle.
Yeah, we'll see if Jockey can get this one to stay more forwardly placed in here, dropping down after being over his head last time.
Direct order hunch play by a former Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner New Year's Day.
Lack of pace in the race hurts his chances because he was taken out of his game last time out.
Blewitt. Andy was dead set against him this morning.
He's all dressed up with nowhere to go off his last race, and this is a much, much tougher field, but he is the controlling speed in a track that's very kind to that running style now.
Dark Storm here. He's been facing tougher.
He's been facing tougher. I mean, not only is Blewitt moving up a lot, but you've got major contenders like Dark Storm and to a lesser extent Microscope that are dropping down.
Vittori Kin, long time since his last dirt race.
But this is a horse that's in reasonably good form, that's run well in the dirt in the past, so I don't think he's without a chance.
Microscope, number 7, 3-time winner, each of those here at Aqueduct.
Another horse who's dropping down considerably from his last start, and I think he's a player.
Regal Quality, very popular at the claim box this year.
Yeah, I don't like him. I think his recent form leaves a lot to be desired, and the public seems to be agreeing at this point.
Getting closer to the first race of the show, $25,000 claimers, start of the late pick 4 as we welcome in Aqueduct's all-time leading jockey, Richie Migliori. Richie, you know what this is all about in terms of what it feels like for a jockey to win a New York Racing Association riding title. Only 4 races left in the year. What's the situation? What do the standings look like?
Well, Jose Ortiz still has it 2-win edge. Manny Franco trying to close the gap on a big favorite here in Blewitt. And it's just a source of pride. It's something you want to accomplish. There's only one guy that can claim to be the leading rider for an entire year at a meet as prestigious as the New York Racing Association circuit, whether it's a combination of, Belmont, Saratoga, Aqueduct, doesn't matter. You want to be leading rider. And what's kind of interesting, since 2014, Lafitte, it's either been Irad Ortiz, Jose Ortiz, or Manny Franco to be leading rider every year. Irad's won it 3 times, 2014, 2015, 2017. Then he was interrupted by Jose in 2016. Manny got it in 2018-19. And then Jose again last year. So come out of today, another 3-time leading rider will be added to that list, and they're all graduates of the Jockey School in Puerto Rico.
They're doing something right at that jockey school in Puerto Rico. They're great friends. Amazing, Richie. So many rides, so much racing. All comes down to the final day, and we'll have more on the Ortiz brothers later in the show, Andy. Meantime, another look at Blewitt and Manny Franco. Trained by Robb Stakes, what do these stats say about Stakes runners in these situations?
Coming off wins in dirt routes, his horses often don't come back and run quite as well as they ran previous starts. And when this horse had that big blowout win last time, he was very much helped by being the lone speed, also facing minimal competition. It was during a streak when Robb Stakes had about 4 or 5 horses win and really run off the screen, do what I call running again better than their PP suggest. And Blewitt's one of them. And his form coming into this, and don't forget, this was once a very promising horse. In fact, he was so promising when he made his debut that a trainer named Nameless declared him the Derby winner, even though he was a 4-year-old, actually. So that's how good he thought he was. You're going to have to tell me who that was
in the break.
He's somebody near and dear to our hearts. And it's not Tom Amos, no. Tom can count. That Tom can count. And so anyway, but as I kid, but he's exaggerated. And 1 to 2, listen, even with today's track, I'd like to book a couple $100 on him at 1 to 2 and take my chances I lose $100. I've lost more than that on more foolish wagers. He's just not very good, but he may have the track to his liking, and it may exaggerate his chances. I'm a little skeptical of him, and at that price, I'd be happy to bet against him. But this racetrack, tracks that have strongly biased will exaggerate results and make horses that aren't good enough, good enough.
How about direct order pictured? First after the claim, Eddie Barker. What do the stats say in terms of Barker first after the claim?
And he doesn't claim too often. He's got 8 claims a year over the last 5 years, and he's been successful with 9 of them with a positive ROI of 203. And Eddie Barker may not be as big a name as some other trainers, but Eddie's one of these trainers that gets it done. Manny Franco did a great job of them last time, really riding him hard to stay in the game because it was a totally paceless race, which Kumar was more adept at taking advantage of because he has natural speed. And Manny did everything he could. when you get a horse and he's badly taken out of his game, it compromises him. And that's why he's compromised again. Now, I don't think he should be 12 to 1 and Blewitt should be 3 to 5 because I think he's good enough to beat that rival. I actually think he's a better horse. I just don't know if the circumstances are going to allow him to win. But the reality is that given the price on Blewitt right now, you're sort of supposed to bet this race and bet against him, even with a bias, because he's no 3 to 5 shot. I mean, this is silly.
And the stats there with Eddie Barker first after the claim, dangerous.
Yeah, and the guy had a horse his last horse off the claim, took a very tough beat here, ran the best race, and actually just lost to the wire. Eddie's one of these under-the-radar guys that wins races.
How far in front do you expect Blewitt early on? How much of a lead can he build?
Well, it'll be interesting. I mean, how aggressive is Maine on the outside with Regal Quality? How aggressive is Jackie Davis on the rail with Heavy Roller? Probably a couple of length and a half. They don't usually open up here. He's going to need every advantage he can get in here because he's simply not as good as I think people believe he is based on his last race. But I'm scared to bet against him because of the way the racetrack is playing. Biases, especially strong ones, can really alter results. We saw it yesterday, and we're seeing it so far today.
Victory by the favorite Blewitt, and Manny Franco would be one shy of the Ortiz brothers in this battle for Naira's leading jockey in 2021. Start of the late pick 4, John Imbriel with the call. 5th race, live, Aqueduct.
They roll in. And they're off. Blewitt sent right out for the early lead. Heavy Roller is down at the rail. Vittori Kin now moves up on the outside microscope, along with Regal Quality as the field races into the clubhouse turn. And it is the odds-on favorite, Blewitt, who will set the pace here in front by a little more than a length. As they continue around the turn, Blewitt is the leader. Microscope runs in second, and Vittori Kin has made his way down to the rail and running in third. Regal Quality is alongside in fourth, followed by Direct Order in fifth. Darkstorm, next to last. Heavy Roller is the trailer in seventh. And now they're on the backstretch after a quarter in 24 and 3/5 seconds. It is Blewitt by almost 2 now. Microscope in second by a neck. Vittori Kin down at the rail in third. Regal Quality on the outside runs in fourth. It's 2.5 lengths back to a Dark Storm and Direct Order. They are heads apart, and the trailer is Heavy Roller. Half mile, 49 and 3/5 seconds. It's Blewitt, the leader here by a length and a quarter. Microscopes in between horses. Regal Quality's on the outside. Now Regal Quality moves into second, still 2 lengths behind Blewitt as they race midway around the far turn. Blewitt's the leader. Regal Quality in second, then Microscope. Vittori Kin down at the rail. Dark Storm on the extreme outside, and Direct Order at the back is Heavy Roller, all chasing Blewitt, who has been in front right from the start. Blewitt ran 3/4 in 1:13 and 4. Now into the stretch. It is Blewitt opening up here to lead by 4. Regal Quality running in second, then Microscope and Dark Storm. With a furlong to the finish, Blewitt is holding on to the lead. Regal Quality giving chase in second. It is Blewitt. And Blewitt's going to be a front-running winner here at odds of 3-5. And it was Regal Quality holding second over Dark Storm. Microscope finished fourth.
Not by 13 lengths on this afternoon, but another easy score for Blewitt. Quickest of all, chalk prevails. Victory number 183 for Manny Franco, now one shy of the Ortiz brothers for the lead for Naira jockeys in 2021.
And I think one of the great things for horse players is that we're in it for the long haul. You know, this notion that the last race comes and you need to bet to get out. You've always got more days and more races to get out. And, you know, for me, I feel a sense of victory because I didn't bet against Blewitt. I wanted to bet against him, but I made a decision based on the track that he wasn't going to bet against because of the track. I firmly believe that he's completely dressed up. He got the job. I mean, look at this racetrack. The Improbable 8. Nobody could even pick up ground on him. And I think sometimes tracks that are speed favoring, I think we saw this in Saratoga, is it that they're actually helping speed or perhaps they're hindering closers? And
There's
so it gives the effect of being a speed track when in fact it's closers that don't get a really fair chance to run their races. So maybe that's more that what's going on here. And you take a horse like Dark Storm, he's a better horse, in my opinion, than Blewitt. Now listen, if you disagree with me, that's fine. That's what the game is all about. But I believe there will be plenty of money to be made to bet against Blewitt. Today turned out not to be the day.
Coming off those 2 easy, he could be 3-5 in his next start. And if he's on a fair racetrack in that next appearance, that's when you pivot, take a stand against him, and maybe there's some value elsewhere.
I agree. And what if he shows up at the race and, God forbid, there's another speed horse in the race?
Pressure.
You know, a lot of things could happen. We'll see. You know, you have to handicap each race individually. But today, he was much the best. And as you pointed out, Manny Franco moving back there. And listen, you know, I'm a big Manny Franco fan. Let's point out, Manny Franco was ridden here 12 months a year. Both Irad and Jose Ortiz did not ride here for significant portions
Well, you
of
have
the
to
year.
cold water Manny Franco.
What?
Why you have to cold water Manny Franco?
Because I love Manny. Because he's my man.
One shy.
Because I got to be honest.
One shy of the Ortiz brothers. And when we come back, first look at racing from Oaklawn Racing Casino Resort, day 10 of the 66-day meet. 4 of the 9 races is next. On-site coverage just getting started on America's Day at the Races.
A Grade 1 winner of nearly $2 million, Silver State hails from the sire line of legendary Claiborne stallion Danzig. And his second dam is full sister to Kentucky Derby winner Monarchos. After winning the Oaklawn Handicap, Silver State defeated Knicks Go in the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. On the board in 12 of 14 starts from ages 2 to 4, his career included a 6-race winning streak. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome back. You're watching America's Day at the Races. As always, brought to you in part by Naira Bets, but any track, anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Get started at nairabets.com or download the app. Tonight, where the ball will drop, Times Square.
What time you heading over?
One more time?
What time you heading over? Get your spot.
When we get off the air, about, what, 10:30 p.m., something like that? How about Blewitt takes advantage of the track, his speed, and 2 back-to-back easy wins.
He does. Gets it done for Manny Franco and Robb Stakes. Second win in a row for Robb. And able to control in the front. And I think, you know, you talk about the track profile. Could be an interesting discussion with the favorite Untreated the next race because he is not a speed horse. He's going to have to make up some ground to get it done. Could make things a little tough for him.
How about Regal Quality completing the exact at 23-1?
There you go. Good aggressive ride by the apprentice, Mena. He's an apprentice, I believe. Maybe not. No, he's not. Excuse me.
He's not an apprentice, and it's been fairly formful thus far. This 2-day pick 6 carryover, final day of the year. Have to give it away. Mandatory payout.
Have to give it out. I think that the actual pool is a little bit higher than that. I had a big different number. But regardless, I think there's around 95. I think after the takeout and all the machinations, get about 95 cents for every dollar bet, which is pretty darn good.
Much more from Aqueduct. Jose Ortiz's first ride on Untreated, the favorite Andy mentioned in the 6th race. Meantime, field for the 4th. Oaklawn Park, 2-year-old fillies, all for sale. They've never won. $30,000 maiden claiming sprint big scratch. Abuela's Humor for Brad Cox is out. Post parade. We start with Cost a Fortune. high-riding Francisco Arrieta in the saddle.
Got to think Francisco has one job and one job only. That's go to the front. Let her do the rest off the claim. Horse to beat after the scratches.
Pepper Point, on paper, tough to make a case for.
I agree. The scratches may have helped her, but maybe not enough.
Big scratch in Abuela's Humor is out, as is Texas Lexus. Akano is in for race maiden.
Yeah, gets a dry track finally after a couple of wet tracks. We'll see if they can make a difference. Doesn't seem to matter.
Charlotte's Way, it's been slop, it's been synthetic, now this fast track.
And also, both were routes, cuts back to a sprint. So kind of new territory, a little bit of an interesting stranger.
You like that route to a sprint angle.
I do.
The favorite, Ain't She a Pistol, by former Breeders' Cup Classic winner Byron.
Yeah, I actually prize this one's favorite. I prefer Cost of Fortune, but obviously she's a player in this field.
On her toes, Ain't She a Pistol, doesn't look anything like her sire Byron, looking to graduate in her 5th career start. Scratch number 9, Hot Tub Hottie. Number 10, Undecoded, off the board in her debut.
This is my price addition to the play. I'd use this one with the 2 and 8 if I was looking to play some exactas. Drops down, gets Lasix, sloppy track first time out. A lot of things to like.
Game of Inches, blinkers off the board in her first 2.
Maybe a game of inches for some, but for her, based on her first 2 races, it's a game of many lengths.
It hasn't been close. Defeated 22 and 15 lengths. Maybe she improves today. Candy Story, first-time starter pictured and live on the toe board, 9-2.
More turf in the dam-sized pedigree, but this one is getting bet, so there must be a story somewhere.
Yeah, there's some scratches, but still.
No, there must be a story somewhere.
Outsider, cold on the board, is Wild Business, draws in.
Just not much to like on this one. Didn't do much running first time, one didn't get bet. I always bet against the money getting bet. I'll try to get Undecoded into the exacta, but I like the 2 right now, who's 3-1, Cost of Fortune.
Second choice, Ain't She a Pistol at 6-5. We have boots on the ground at Oaklawn Park. Hall of Fame jockey Gary Stevens is with us. Gary, Hot Springs strikes me as a kind of town. The festivities start, kind of early on a New Year's Eve, regardless of what type of weather could be inbound.
Yeah, guys, the hotel is full. The casino is full. Lots of people out here for the races today on the last day of 2021. And it's a beautiful day. It's overcast, but about 65 degrees and great racing conditions right now. Fast racetrack, but things are going to change immediately after the races. At least that's what the weather station says, that we've got heavy rains coming in. You can look forward to a sloppy, wet Smarty Jones tomorrow afternoon. We'll be covering that for you as well. But as far as what's going to happen during the races tomorrow, the temperature is going to drop drastically, and we're going in deep freeze. Numbers in the teens overnight into Sunday morning, and the temperature's not to come up above like 37, 38 degrees. So questionable what's going to happen on Sunday at this point in time. But let's enjoy today's racing. We're kicking it off here with a 9-horse field with these scratches, and lots of action on the 12 horse in here, guys. It was 20-1 on the morning line, opened up at 5-2, drifted back up to 5-1, but one to keep an eye on. And John Geraldo, the apprentice, looking for his second win on the card on number 8 at 65, or at 6-5 odds, guys.
6-5 currently, Gary. Thanks so much. About a minute to go here. Tomorrow, looking forward to that Smarty Jones 3-year-olds at Oaklawn Park as we welcome in the 2015 National Handicapping Championship Tour winner, Jonathan Kinchin. Let's see what he went with for his New Year's Eve cameo. A Breeders' Cup shirt for New Year's Eve. I like it. That works.
Thank you, Lafitte. I miss you. And Andy, I miss you as well. Look, there's 2 horses I thought were interesting. I agree with Andy, the 10 undecoded, gets Lasix for the first time, debuted at Churchill Downs, was not allowed to run on Lasix, is now allowed to run on Lasix at Oaklawn Park. I think that could help this horse in his second career start. Didn't take a ton of money, but also had some excuses, kind of got stuck down on the inside. Not the place you want to be with first-time starters, so I have 0 issue with the 10 undecoded. And I'm a little bit different than Andy when it comes to the 12. Andy... And there's no right or wrong answer, because half the time I'm right and half the time he's right with this attitude of kind of trying to beat the money. The money's not always right. It is a great indicator. But one of the things I will say is that when a horse like this gets bet off of a 21 morning line, which is not the most important part of the factor, into a trainer who is only winning with first-time starters at 6% in his career. He's, let's see, 5 for 87 with first-time starters. This is not a Todd Pletcher first-time starter, a Bob Baffert first-time starter, a Chad Brown first-time starter. This is a first-time starter from a connection that does not win first out. That kind of money is money that I pay attention to. I'm going to stay towards the outside with the 10 and the 12. Give me the 12 as my official pick.
Well, I mean, I rate to be. First of all, I didn't completely throw this horse out. I actually boxed the 2 with the 10 and 11. I ended up using the 2 with the 10 and 12. Excuse me. I ended up using the 12 because I think the 8 is overbet at 8-5. But you know, I mean, if you dismiss this horse as 6-1, it's not like it's neither or. The horse is still 6-1. It also should be noted that the 4 being scratched is 7-2 Morning Lion. I'm not sure the 4 on paper might have been about 2-1 or 8-5 in this race. So I think that. And I'm not saying the 12 didn't take some money, but if the 4 was in here, the 12 would be 10-1. And we might not notice it quite as much because at the end of the day, you've got the 2-8 and a little 10. There's nowhere else to go. Mm-hmm. So is there a big story, or is it sort of like a couple people like this horse a little bit, and maybe it's getting a little overplayed just because there aren't that many directions to head here?
Maybe by default. Brad Cox, Florent Giroux, yeah, they were scheduled to team up in 5 of these 6 races we're covering from Oaklawn. So now 4 of the 5 with the defection of Abuela's Humor, and they've been so good together at Oaklawn at the start of the meet and over the course of the year. We'll touch on that a little bit later on as they file into the gate, and we're all set. Post time for the 4th. Vic Stauffer with the call. 4th race live from Oaklawn Park.
Candy's Story goes in. Game of Inches is ready. Here's Charlotte's Way. The last horse to load will be Wild Business. They're at the post. They're off. Cost of Fortune wins the break, goes for the front from Charlotte's Way and to the outside Wild Business. Candy's Story is in the mix, so is Ain't She a Pistol, and so is Undecoded. Then comes Pepper Point, who was very slow into stride, but now third last from Keno, and the trailer is Game of Inches. Cost of Fortune and Charlotte's Way into the far turn. Cost of Fortune a neck in front at the rail. Charlotte's Way is second by 2 lengths to Ain't She a Pistol, the third gray, and 2.5 from the front. Then Undecoded, fourth, but now 8 lengths behind with Keno just inside of her. 3.5 back to Wild Business. Pepper Point is second to last, and the trailer is Game of Inches, and the leader is Cost of Fortune, who's now clear. Cost of Fortune at the quarter-mile marker, a 2-length lead over Ain't She a Pistol, who now inches up into second. Charlotte's Way is back in third, and Cost of Fortune is the one to catch. Final 3/16, she's got a 3-length lead. Cost of Fortune in command. Ain't She a Pistol? Now to the outside and Undecoded, moving well, and Keno at the rail, but it looks like a battle for second as Cost of Fortune is far in front. Keno's moving nicely, and so is Undecoded. They'll battle for second. Cost of Fortune in front. Cost of Fortune won by 3. Keno was second, Undecoded third. Ain't She a Pistol finished fourth.
The Run Happy filly, Cost of Fortune. First half of the claim, Greg Compton, Francisco Arrieta continuing to impress and ride winners at Oaklawn Park.
You know, that's not fair. This was actually a fairly cheap Run Happy at $42,000 and a good claim for $30,000. And, you know, helped by the fact perhaps the number 8, the co-favorite, Ain't She a Pistol, didn't break that well. But she was just long gone in here. No excuse for the 10 who I needed for second not to get second. As Keno came up the rail, and maybe the rail, a good place to be on this track. Didn't see the first-time star do much running in here. And Run Happy, maybe a bit of a quiet first year as a sire, but he is, as they say about Star Guitar, he's coming on strong.
You're not lying. It's a relative term, Fortune. Cost of Fortune, Oaklawn. It's expected. Another terrific year for star jockey Jose Ortiz, and now a shot at the 2021 New York riding title. His first mount of the afternoon is next, and it's a live one aboard the favorite in the 6th. Time for Ortiz to deliver in the clutch.
Good Magic's in front. Good Magic pulls away from Sobomini. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Good Magic to the front of the field in the Toyota Bluegrass to win it. The champ is back. Good Magic in a good-looking performance.
800,000, 75, 875, 8.5. Pete, 775,000. Thank you.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing.
It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
This is the horse.
Is just too good.
This is the horse who became only the second champion 2-year-old to win the Travers in 3 decades. This is the horse who is the only Breeders' Cup juvenile hero ever to lift the Belmont Stakes. History-making brilliance. That's his essential quality. Essential quality. This is the horse. Just imagine.
Blood Horse Plus, available through bloodhorse.com, provides exclusive, timely, and unmatched content to subscribers, including Fox Sports, Blood Horse branded weekly programs, a detailed stakes winners section, behind-the-scenes videos from Blood Horse staff, on-demand access to deeper horse statistics, and a $5 monthly credit to equineline.com. Upgrade to Blood Horse Plus today.
From Aqueduct Racetrack in South Ozone Park, New York, you're watching America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. Happy New Year's Eve. Updated odds for the 6th race. Solid allowance optional claimer, 1 mile. No surprise, number 6, Untreated. Odds on favorite, 3-5. To be ridden by Jose Ortiz, his first mount of the afternoon. So this is what it looks like with 3 races left in 2021. The chase for your New York Racing Association riding title. Manny Franco won the last race, so now the Ortiz brothers with 184 apiece. Manny Franco with 183. Richie earlier explained why Irad Ortiz is not riding, currently serving a 30-day suspension. You had a chance to speak with brother Jose. How does he feel about, trying to win this thing, trying to win this title with his brother watching from the penalty box?
Well, I asked him just that. Would it diminish it if he is able to accomplish it? And, he was of the feeling, well, Irad was probably leaving for Gulfstream anyway, even if he wasn't going to be suspended, and yet he thought he had a pretty good chance to run him down anyway. And I got to tell you, I think that he'll take just as much satisfaction whether his brother was riding heads up with him here today as opposed to the situation that is at hand where Irad is suspended. And I got to tell you, talking to him in the jockey's room earlier today, Jose Ortiz was very, very confident. He was like, yeah, I just feel like it's going to happen.
Highly decorated rider, Eclipse Award-winning jockey, like an MVP for riders, 3-time Saratoga champion jockey, Jose Ortiz. Irad, you did speak with him earlier this week. He's serving this 30-day suspension. How is he handling all of this, and what adjustments can we expect moving forward?
Well, there are 2 parts to this. One, obviously having a month off from a physical perspective, keeping yourself in shape, keeping your body tuned, if you will. And he's been going out to Palm Beach Downs every single morning in Florida, working horses for Todd Pletcher. He said he's worked a lot of horses for Todd. He spent a week at his home in Puerto Rico, came back, went to Disney World with his daughter for a little bit, but then he started working. But from a mental aspect now, here, he's a rider that's very aggressive, and that's one of the reasons why he is as successful as he is. And I asked him about that. How do you find the balance between going over the line, which he obviously did, and he feels bad about it. And he said it, he's just so happy nobody was injured. He knows he made a mistake. He owned it. He took his suspension. But he says you're not going to change so much. He has to be the rider he is and work on instinct. So I think he'll modify some things. He says he's working on himself. But I don't think you're going to see a real toned-down version of Irad Ortiz.
We'll be watching very closely once he returns, Richie. One of, if not the most talented riders in North America, Irad Ortiz. How will he respond? How will he adjust? We'll see in the new year, Andy.
Well, we'll know when he unblocks me on Twitter.
Did he block you on Twitter?
Yeah, I made a tweet, which wasn't even a harsh tweet, suggesting that he needs to maybe look a little bit into himself, basically saying the same things that Richie said, and next thing I knew, he blocked me on Twitter. I find it amusing. I don't even look at his Twitter feed. I couldn't care less, but not exactly the move of a guy who's looking to make himself into a better rider out there. I hope he does. He's a great rider, but he needs to look very seriously at the way he rides.
That's your New Year's resolution.
To what, be meaner to jockeys?
Clean slate. start over?
I think Irad's a great rider, but I think he needs to ride his horses and not worry as much about other horses on the racetrack.
Post parade here for the 6th at Aqueduct. And here's the favorite. First ride of the afternoon, Untreated, odds on 3-5, Jose Ortiz in the Team Valor colors.
Well, yeah, he's the worst to beat on paper, but his running style doesn't suit it. We'll talk more after the post parade.
235, Manny Franco right next door of Jose Ortiz in the favorite.
Yeah, I just don't know if this one is quite good enough, regardless, and doesn't have any speed either.
Parsimony is out. Pioneer Spirit's a 4-time stakes winner.
He is, but he's just not the horse he once was. We'll see if he can re-find that form. A tough spot to do it. You know, I think Jose Ortiz is a great rider. I'm a big fan of him as a rider. I'm a big fan of him as a person. But I think one of the things with Jose, he spent so much time riding in New York where the tracks are almost universally fair. I don't think he's as adept to biases as he could be. And I watched him yesterday be somewhat unaggressive. I think it could hurt him in a spot like this. They really need to get this horse in the game because loafing along, and one of his main competition horses trying the dirt for the first time, that's By Land and Sea. And you know that Kendrick Carmouche is going to use his speed to be aggressive with him. So I think he could be somewhat compromised by the racetrack. I still think he's the one to beat, but the way this track is playing, Untreated is beatable because of his running style.
So something to watch for early on. Is Jose Ortiz more aggressive? Trained by Todd Pletcher. Second race off a long layoff following a win, Andy. The stats.
It's an amazing stat. I put it up. He's a short price because I wanted to talk about it a little bit. He's 14 for 28, which is remarkable. And, you know, the horses are paying 8-5, 8-5 to 9-5, but they're winning at a huge percentage.
14 of
Yet
28.
he's just 3 for 11 at Naira with this stat, which means that he's 11 for 17, I'm assuming mostly at Gulfstream. So the numbers at Naira haven't been as strong. Now, on the other hand, he probably hasn't left his horse as good as Untreated. You know, Untreated's a funny horse. He's extremely highly touted for Chad Brown and Paul Pompa. Made his debut after Paul Pompa passed away, and he went into the sale a week later. And Chad Brown had told me that he was extremely high on him, and he didn't run a step as a heavy favorite first time out of Gulfstream. And then he went in the sale. And I don't think he sold for that much, about $300,000. Despite a couple of them, including one Carrillo that broke his maiden in a slow race at Aqueduct that Tom Amos got, went for over about $750,000. He sold, I think, for about $300,000. Now, he's done well for Todd Pletcher. He missed a lot of time after the Bluegrass. He's obviously got some issues. He was good last time. He runs that race, can be tough to beat. But I worry. You're talking about taking a very short price on a horse that is going to be running against the grain of a very strong bias.
And took a lot of encouraging on that afternoon. That was Irad Ortiz. And to find his best stride, it really took a while until he finally did and put that field away. Jose Ortiz riding Untreated today, 1-2, Richie. We're looking at By Land and Sea, getting set, as Andy mentioned, to make his dirt debut. Currently 5-1 with Kendrick Carmouche aboard.
I think he's a very interesting alternative to your favorite. He has a pedigree that says dirt could be okay. He's a half to Sweet By and By, who was stakes placed on the dirt, a winner on the dirt as well, also trained by Anthony Dutro. And from a physical perspective, By Land and Sea doesn't have a typical turf foot. He doesn't have a big, wide, flat foot. He has more of a dirt horse's foot, actually. He looks very sharp. They put the blinkers back on. Asked Anthony Dutro about that, and he said Kendrick Carmouche was adamant this horse needs blinkers. They took him off last time experimenting. The blinkers are back on. He looks ultra sharp. And Anthony also said he trains extremely well on the dirt. So they're giving him a chance here. If it doesn't work out, they'll give him some time off, regroup, and go back to the turf. But he looks sharp. I asked him about the strategy. He felt that they want to be close, if not on the lead. I think if they can make the lead, they'll try. I think he's a viable alternative because I do think he has a chance to make the lead, and I do think he'll handle the dirt. The 6 Untreated, your favorite, looks fantastic. You can't fault him from a physical perspective. I also like the fact that after that long layoff, the way he won, he has put in 4 workouts since, and the spacing of the workouts very important. They're always 6 days apart. That tells you the horse came out of the last race in very good order. He's a healthy horse. He looks fantastic on the track, but the track could play against him, and I agree with Andy. I think Jose, he's going to have to be aggressive and get this horse's mind in the game early.
Yeah, Richie, look, I agree. I think Untreated is definitely the horse to beat. And at 1-2, you always want to try to find some holes in the game. The thing about Untreated, though, especially at this class level, he's a lightly raced horse who's obviously had some starts and some stops. But he did come back and he ran big. And I'm of the opinion when Todd has one good, he can typically keep them good. That's why Todd is the Hall of Famer that he is. Now, I understand, and I agree with Andy, the racetrack's not exactly fair to his style, but it's a smaller field. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of pace in there, and I'm hoping that he'll stay close enough. And I know a lot of other people are, who I'm assuming this is probably the most singled horse on Pick 6 tickets today. But the other horse that I used in my Pick 6 that's no longer with us, I didn't have the last winner, is the 2 Boldish. This is a horse for Linda Rice that, from a speed figure standpoint, seems a little bit light on paper, but a couple of horses that this horse has faced in the last couple of starts have come back and run faster speed figures. So I'm just hoping that Boldish might have another step forward. I believe the 6 is the winner, but if you're allergic to betting chalk, take a look at the 2.
6-1 will work. Boldish, and Linda Rice has him dialed in, having rattled off 3 straight since claiming him.
Yeah, you know, I'm basically a public handicapper, and my picks are made in advance, so I can't change them. But I bet a few dollars on By Land and Sea in this race. I think he is the absolute other horse in this race. You know, we don't know if he'll handle the dirt. He's a half to sweep by and by. She was better in the turf, but she was pretty good in the dirt, too. And it's a good experiment because they can just put him away for the winter, as Richie was saying, if it doesn't work out. But you know Kendrick's going to give him his best chance because if he can run in the dirt, he'll be forward.
How far off the pace do you think Untreated will be?
That's a good question. 3 lengths? I don't want to see him more than 2 or 3 lengths.
You're comfortable with that? 3
no,
lengths?
But I think he still is the horse to beat if he does it. If he drops back 5-6 lengths, good luck to him.
Post time. All set for the 6 from the Big A. Here's John Embryo.
And they're off. Awkward starts for Untreated, 235, and Prioritize. A good beginning for Pioneer Spirit, who is out for the lead. By Land and Sea is right there. Now the favorite Untreated moves up on the outside to grab 3rd. Lost in Rome is down on the inside and 4th. It's 3 lengths back to a Boldish, then 235 and Prioritize. The field is racing up the backstretch with a long shot Pioneer Spirit leading here by 3/4 of a length. The opening quarter over the off-going in 24 seconds. By Land and Sea sits just behind in 2nd, with Untreated on the outside in 3rd, now 2.5 lengths from the front. Lost in Rome races in 4th. And then it's a length back to 235. And on the outside is Boldish. Farther back is Prioritize. The leader is Pioneer Spirit. Ran the half in 47 and 2/5 seconds. It's Pioneer Spirit, the leader by a length. By Land and Sea runs in 2nd. A break of 2 to Untreated, who remains in 3rd. Boldish is gaining ground on the outside up into 4th. Then comes 235. Lost in Rome has dropped out of it. Prioritize is at the back as they hit the top of the stretch. By Land and Sea and Pioneer Spirit. And now the 2 of them are heads apart with Untreated on the outside in 3rd as they move down for the furlong marker. By Land and Sea in between horses. Untreated on the outside. Pioneer Spirit closest to the rail. Here comes Untreated now to take the lead in deep stretch. Pioneer Spirit continues to battle, but it will be Untreated who overcame that awkward beginning to win over Pioneer Spirit and By Land and Sea.
New leader in the clubhouse with 2 races left. Jose Ortiz, the victory with Untreated. Andy, some anxious moments at the start and able to win against the grain of the track.
Yeah, I want to see the start again, but the good news was that Jose didn't really lose much position, and he was good at getting position with the winner and the favorite, Untreated. But the reality is that I think the bias showed up in a big way in here because he might be 5 lengths better than these horses. And the truth is that By Land and Sea isn't a dirt horse. He ran okay, but if he was a dirt horse, he would have won this race. And look at the 9, the 25-1 9, who hasn't been in good form. He's been running buyers that are like, 10, 15 lengths behind the favorite. The favorite broke a step slow, but look at Jose. He was aggressive. He said, I need position, and he knew what was going on. So if we see the pan of it, you're going to see that even though he breaks a little slow here, maybe he breaks a little slow, he didn't break that far behind the 4, and Jose got right into him, and he got right into the race. So there are bad breaks, and Richie could talk more about it, where you lose position, You break about a half length or so slow, and you get a little squeeze. Next thing you're 8 lengths behind. In this case, he was never really more than a couple lengths behind. So he was much the best horse. He never got far out of it. And Jose rode him, as you point out to me during the running of the race, a horse you had to ride the entire race. I think he did that not to lose position.
What did you see at the start, Richie?
Well, he did break a step slow, and he kind of ducked in just a step, and it caused Jose to have to correct him a little bit. But he got very fortunate that the 235, kind of lunged up in the air at the break. He broke actually slower, so he didn't come in and take his space or impede him at all. And then he looked like a bicycle horse. He was just having to ride him the whole way. If he wasn't pedaling, he wasn't running. But he did something no other horse has been able to do today, and that's just keep grinding 3-4 wide throughout and get it done. I think this was much more impressive than his last effort because he did overcome the racetrack.
Grinding, grinding, grinding a la Stay Thirsty. Maybe a Drosselmeyer comes to mind. Untreated, the favorite, 6'9", 4'2", and 1 victory clear in the standings for jockey Jose Ortiz. For trainer Steve Asmussen, he's winding down a year the Hall of Famer won't soon forget. Making history, breaking records. Summer for the ages at Saratoga. It is good to be North America's all-time leading trainer, and the future is bright. You're watching America's Day at the Races.
Spun to Run. In the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, he defeated a loaded field that included multiple Grade 1 winners Omaha Beach and Improbable. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more. And he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, Breeders' Cup champion, Spun to Run, standing at Gainesway.
Happy New Year's Eve. Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. As always, brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. First of 3 rides on the afternoon for Jose Ortiz. Untreated at 3-5 for Team Valor International. And trainer Todd Pletcher victorious in the 6th of 8 at the Big A.
And you always like to move up horses that run against the grain of the racetrack. And, you know, as we were all saying, you, Richie, and myself, Untreated may have sort of had a very workmanlike win, but it's probably a win that on a fair racetrack would have been a lot more impressive, maybe 3-4 lengths. So I give him a lot of credit for beating the bias. And, you know, as I think he had said to Dave Grenig, who wrote about this, looking to try to get through this condition and then move on to stake races with this horse. And I think they have every right to be optimistic. We'll see, though. He'll have to get a bit faster, but he's a promising horse, no question about it.
Untreated, 3-5 in the pick 6 with the mandatory payout. Being the final day of the year, 2-day carryover. How about Pioneer Spirit? And as 25-1, he made the lead. That's how Pioneer Spirit used to do it, and he can still be productive on this kind of track.
Well, I think it also says something that the rider who is taking the most advantage of the bias is Heeman Harkey, who wrote Our Working Girl. He seems to be the one who's the most alert to it. And I think that should be maybe should sort of ring a bell to some of the other riders here. And, you know, just as we said that Blewitt may be dressed up by his last race, Untreated may look a little worse going into his next race than he actually is, and perhaps that'll help him be better value next time he runs.
Something to remember as these horses resurface. 2 races left here at Aqueduct for 2021. Meantime, Oaklawn, the 5th race, fillies and mares here running a 1.5 mile 16th, $50,000 allowance, optional claimer, $101,000 purse. Number 4, Sun Path. 6-5 for Brad Cox, Florent Giroux, and Juddmonte with about 20 minutes to post. And trainer Steve Asmussen, he is represented by a pair in this 5th race at Oaklawn Park, Willful Woman and Fire Coral on the outside. Lots to smile about in 2021 for Asmussen and family, winning in Arkansas Derby with a horse owned by his family, owned by his father, Super Stock, pulling off the upset and able to run a horse for his family, his father, in the Kentucky Derby, becoming North America's all-time leading trainer with a 2-year-old victory at Saratoga. All smiles in the celebration with his wife Julie and 3 sons. What a summer it was. Not only becoming North America's all-time leading trainer, saddled 5 Grade 1 winners at the Spa, including Gunnett in the Grade 1 Hopeful, and yes, indeed, the future is bright. Echo Zulu winning the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies last month at Del Mar. And a championship, certainly to be crowned champion 2-year-old filly of 2021. Gary Stevens still with us at Oaklawn. Gary, what was your biggest takeaway in terms of accomplishments for Steve Asmussen in 2021?
Well, obviously, his all-time leading owner, or trainer record that he set this year, and that record is going to be tough to ever beat. I know records are meant to be broken, but that's one I don't think is going to be touched for a long, long time if anybody does ever pass that mark. But you know, I think that the emphasis has to be on that record and his family enjoying that moment with him. I know how proud he was and how emotional he got when he set that record, and his drive is what amazes me. The guy never shuts down. He's constantly driving. I saw him out here on Wednesday morning, and he had driven all the way from New Orleans, and he's just back and forth, and he's been out on that pony every day this week, looking forward to those next wins, and he's never stopped. He loves being in the winner's circle. His drive is something that's I've never seen in this game and been around it for a long time. So he put an exclamation point on the meet he had at Saratoga, and it's you know, he had a bit of a slow time at Keeneland and into Churchill Downs, but the beat marches on. Started off the meet here with winners, and it's continuing on. So hats off to 2021 and Steve Asmussen as the trainer, guys.
Incredible year. And well represented, Andy, in this 5th race at Oaklawn Park. Fire Coral towards the outside. You're looking at Willful Woman. Ricardo Santana in the lead long colors for Steve Asmussen. Let's go back to that Black-Eyed Susan, Preakness Eve, Pimlico, Willful Woman, trying to cut into Army Wife's lead in the stretch.
Yeah, but she was also riding down the inside, and this was a time that the inside was a very, very good place to be. So I think while she angles off in the stretch, much like the winner Army Wife, she rode the good rail for much of the race, but still, she ran okay. I think she makes a lot of sense in this race. I'm not sure why she's significantly less likely to win than Sun Path, who stretches out second off. I thought the 3 best horses here were the 1, 2, and 4, and I thought Bold Tactics may be a little dressed up. So the Willful Woman and Sun Path were 2 logical type runners.
8 starts to date. Ricardo Santana has been aboard for 7 of them. Willful Woman's only 2 wins with Santana aboard. We've just about reached post time, 5th race, Oaklawn. JK, what'd you come up with?
Yeah, look, it's not overly clever, but I do think the 4 Sun Path is the horse that you want. If you look just from a handicapping standpoint, you start at the bottom of the past performance as you see a horse that was a 2-year-old, you know, had some productive races as a 2-year-old with a great pedigree, being a foal to Bonnie South. And then you can see they tried to get on to the Kentucky Oaks Trail, and that didn't quite work out. Ran well enough in the Honeybee, but obviously had an issue. There's a long break and a typical nice comeback race for a horse that we know wants to go further. Going 6.5 at Churchill Downs sets up perfectly for this two-turn race here. Puts the blinkers on, has the best figures, and rates to probably improve here. I think the even money is fair in here, and it'd be a number that I'd be interested in for sure.
Asmussen with a pair, and Brad Cox with a pair, leading trainer here in the early stages of the Oaklawn meet. Andy, he has Bold Tactics, and we're looking at Sun Path, the even money favorite.
Yeah, I don't agree with Jonathan. I don't think that even money is a good price on this horse. I think 3-1 and the 1 Willful Woman is a much, much better gamble. I don't think there's a significant difference in the talent between these 2 horses. I also like the fact that Willful Woman draws the rail. The rails looked like a decent place to be. I haven't watched that much races, but I watched the last race. Certainly seemed like a good place to be. And while I don't disagree that Sunpath might be a little bit more likely to win, I don't think that the difference is as big as the gap in prices. So I think it's a case where you just see a lot of money go to Brad Cox down there. And he wins a lot of races, so maybe they're right.
And with Giroux as well. This combination is going to get crushed, race in and race out. And we'll look at these stats and some of the accomplishments for these two closer later in the show, but I believe Brad Cox won 30 graded stakes races in 2021, 14 of them with Florent Giroux in the saddle. 14 of them.
Who do you think is the one more responsible for those wins, Brad or Florent? I know that your dad's a jockey, so it's probably Brad Cox. Big birthday for your dad the other day, by the way. Congrats. That's awesome.
My father is Benjamin Button. Period. Those names, we didn't have enough room on the screen. It's with 7 different horses. Cox, Giroux, 14 graded stakes wins together. And oh, by the way, that doesn't include Mandaloon's second place finish in the Kentucky Derby, which could become a victory by the time it's all said and done.
No, I think that could definitely be settled by 2030 or 32. Somewhere in the early 2030s.
So my dad will be 42.
He's dropping. So, in other words, when I was a kid and first saw your dad riding, he was 120. Is that what you're trying to tell me? I got to tell you, he looked darn good. That guy, that's impressive.
He does everything the same except ride. He just doesn't ride anymore. Still in the gym, fit, diet. It is again, Dad's Benjamin Button. Florent Giroux, yeah, Brad Cox. So, it's difficult because if you like, when you're saying who's more responsible, it's the horse on paper, and then you look at the connections. But regardless of who they're represented by, in this case, Sunpath, those horses are going to be overbet, much like we see this with Red Ortiz in New York at Saratoga, and constantly dealing with the overbetting simply by the presence of a certain jockey and a trainer, in this case, a jockey-trainer combination.
I think it's fair. Listen, Center Isle, who won that race, came back and won a stake down in Florida. She beat Frank's Rockette. She's improved. She had the run of the race that day. Pace wasn't that fast. Sunpath had a pretty, a little bit compromised trip. My problem with Sunpath is I don't think she's very good. So I won't be shocked when she wins this race. I don't have something against her. I just would rather take 5-2 on the one Willful Woman than 6-5 on Sunpath. I don't think the difference in chance of winning is that significant. Jonathan disagrees. We'll find out in less than 2 minutes which one of us is right.
Moving into line, Sunpath, world-class connections. Judd Mont, Brad Cox, Florent Giroux, leading jockey and trainer here at Oaklawn, seeking another victory. Favorite at post time is Sunpath. Vic Stauffer standing by. 5th race, live from Oaklawn.
They're at the post. They're off. Mary Rose and Texas Rain break best. Willful Woman's at the rail with Lady Mackenzie now taking 3rd. Sunpath, A Broken Breeze, and Bold Tactics are next, and the early trayer is Fire Coral. It's Lady Mackenzie fastest, and now Texas Rain to take the lead, and Texas Rain and Carlos Montalvo have it to the backstretch. A Broken Breeze, though, is tugging through, and here's A Broken Breeze to take over the front as they turn into the backside from Texas Rain now in 2nd. The Arkansas bred, the Mary Rose, is 3rd and 2.5 from the front. Then comes Willful Woman, Bold Tactics, and Sunpath. They're all about 5 from the front. Fire Coral is the trailer. Lady Mackenzie is mid-pack, and A Broken Breeze is the leader. It is A Broken Breeze, a neck in front of Texas Rain in 2nd. Now Sunpath is on an early advance. She's gone from 6th up into 4th in the pink cap. She's just behind the Mary Rose. Willful Woman stays at the rail with Bold Tactics between horses. Lady Mackenzie is 2nd to last, and Fire Coral has trailed throughout. They run around the far turn. A Broken Breeze, Texas Rain, and a 3 wide, the Mary Rose. Sunpath in perfect striking position now, and she's about to take 3rd, 2 from the front. Willful Woman splits horses. She's got a chance. Fire Coral is rolling from the back of the pack. Here's Fire Coral with a lot of forward momentum. They've all got to catch the Arkansas bred, the Mary Rose, who comes to mid-stretch, and she's put a 5-length lead on this field. Willful Woman, Bold Tactics, and Fire Coral not today for Sunpath, and here is the Mary Rose representing this state in fashion. The Mary Rose, yes! The Mary Rose won by 8.5 lengths. Fire Coral was 2nd, Bold Tactics 3rd, and Willful Woman finished 4th.
Now, Smarty Jones is tomorrow. The Mary Rose doing her best Caddo River impersonation in last year's Smarty Jones. The Mary Rose for John Ed Anthony by many at Oaklawn Park.
Well, the best speed figure she ever ran, this Arkansas bred, was last year going 1:16 in the slop at Oaklawn. I got to tell you, she's a tough horse to make on paper, and she won like she should have been the horse who was even money in here. Always happy to see my buddy, Raylu Gutierrez, get a win, and he got it win done emphatically.
Mary Rose, the Arkansas bred, results Oaklawn. When we come back, final stakes race of the year in New York for New York breds. The Alex M. Robb featuring Seafoam, winner of the Evan Shipman this summer at Saratoga. First victory in the career of trainer Michelle Gianggiulio. Can she win a second career stakes victory this afternoon?
Independence Hall is hands down one of the most impressive horses I've ever seen physically.
Independence Hall is pouring it on here in the Nashua Stakes. Won by maybe a dozen lengths.
Independence Hall wins the Hagyard Fayette.
You don't have to be a multi-millionaire to get into this game. You can have a few $1,000s and have fun with it. But with the bonds, you're actually going to win. I've had the opportunity to win multiple races. In fact, this year I won 2 times in one day, which is almost unheard of to be able to do. This is going to happen with them. You will get into the winner's circle in Saratoga. You will walk that horse in, and you will stand there, look at the crowd, and the bonds will take you there and get you into that winner's circle. And it won't cost you a lot of money.
Smile Happy was a TDN rising star following his maiden win at Keeneland. From there, he captured the Grade 2 Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes to remain undefeated and earning points toward the Kentucky Derby. In Future Pool 1, Smile Happy was individual leader by lowest odds. Among the top of his crop by stakes winners and earnings, Run Happy continues his rise and is priced for success. Call today and book your mare to Red Hot Sire Run Happy, standing in legendary stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
And it is Seafoam holding on to the lead here over 3 Jokers. It is Seafoam in front into the stretch. 3 Jokers is all out in second. Then Mr. Buff, Danny California on the outside, and Winston's Chance. It is Seafoam with the lead inside the 8th pole. Seafoam is in front now by 2.5 lengths, now by 3. Seafoam drawing away here through the stretch, and it will be Seafoam with a wire-to-wire victory in the Evan Shipman Handicap.
Just too fast to catch. Seafoam in last summer's Evan Shipman. Every trainer remembers their first career win with great detail. Andy, few get to experience that moment in a stakes race at Saratoga as Michelle Gianggiulio did.
Yeah, Michelle's horse has been running very well recently as well, and this was an exciting moment for her. And as we saw it, well documented on our Saratoga live shows. It's a cool moment.
One of the top 10 moments by our esteemed staff voted this summer at Saratoga. All smiles, and understandably so. That was first after the claim for Gianggiulio. First career victory in the Evan Shipman in a stakes race at Saratoga. There is Seafoam, the current 8-5 favorite for this 43rd running of the Alex M. Robb. Down to Richie in the paddock for this Alex M. Robb paddock report.
I love the New York breds. Being a New York bred myself mean a lot. Alex Robb, going back to 1932, was one of the founding contributors to the New York State breeding program. For the people that didn't know that little history lesson, the 4-horse Seafoam could not look any better. So well turned out for Michelle Gianggiulio. He looks like he's controlling speed, and from a physical perspective, he could not look any better. He's going to be very formidable here. But 2 other horses that stood out from a physical perspective. The 8, Captain Bombastic. Toby Sheets does such a great job for Steve Asmussen here in New York. He just looks very sharp. Horse that I think will appreciate, the mile and an 1/8. I think the track plays against him, no particular an outside draw. And the 9, Tiergan. Horse looks fantastic, but he's completely against the grain of the racetrack, guys.
Richie, thanks so much. Riders up in a post parade for the Alex Robb. You're looking at the 2-horse here in Denny, California. There's Brooklyn Strong, 6-1 currently.
Yeah, Brooklyn Strong. We'll see if he can get back on track. I like Denny, California, by the way, and I'm hoping Jose can get him in the game. Track's not going to help him, though.
It's your top selection, Denny, California. Seafoam here, 9-time winner, 4th in this race last year.
But the truth is, this horse, you know, they scratched Chowder, the other top speed. He looks to be in a position to lead him on a merry chase.
Our last buck, third to Lobster on the Thunder Rumble, December 5th.
Imagine you'll see Manny Franco go back to more aggressive tactics. Got to be in the game with this guy.
Wild Banker, 8th in that Thunder Rumble.
Actually had a very good 2021, just not good enough to beat these.
Chowder is out. Significant scratch, as Andy mentioned. Race shape. Here's Captain Bombastic for Steve Asmussen.
He can be forward. Does he really want to go this far? He did run well at a mile, though, 3 back, out of town.
And Tiergan, like Denny, California, by Preakness Belmont winner of Fleet Alex.
He ran extremely well when against the track with a wide trip on a good rail last time out. We'll see the rider, you know, a lower percentage rider, but you're getting a fair price on him. Can he get the right trip, though? Of the Rudy horses, though, I prefer the number 2, Danny California. 7-2. I'll bet a few dollars. I'm just not confident he'll be able to overcome the bias.
Give us the, okay, so there he is, Denny, California. How much can Jose Ortiz, who, by the way, with 2 clear of Manny Franco in this chase for a New York Racing Association riding title, the worst he can do is tie. Worst he can do is tie. He has 2 more mounts in the afternoon, as does Manny Franco.
Well, he's on the speed on paper in the last race, so we'll see if he's aggressive with that one. I think with Danny California, he needs to get him in the game. He's not a speed type, but he needs to ride him a bit to bet in the game. He does draw well towards the inside, in fact, drawing the rail with the one Cassis Beats scratching. Last time out, he was 4 wide against a gold rail. And he was also badly steadied out about 1/8 of a mile into the race, which really compromised his chances. So even though he finished well back, I think he had a bit of an excuse. I don't know, though, if I can take 3-1, given how this track is playing. On an even racetrack, I would like this guy.
But does it still feel as biased after watching the last race?
Oh, it feels more.
Or even more so?
I mean, look at how
Especially
the
with,
25 to 1 shot.
Spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I just think you're dealing with Untreated, who may have been 5 lengths the best, and he won by 3/4 of a length.
JK, who takes down this Alex M. Robb Stakes?
Yeah, look, I think the 3 Brooklyn Strong is always interesting. Horses like this are always interesting. Excuse me. When you see a horse that runs so well and shows a bunch of talent at one point of their career, and then kind of gets a little bit of a break and then has a chance to come back, you'd like to think that maybe, just maybe, Brooklyn Strong can find that Remsen back when he was a 2-year-old. He never found that form as a 3-year-old, and understandably so. Pretty tough waters, the Wood Memorial, the Kentucky Derby, so on and so forth. I think the 3 Brooklyn Strong is at least interesting at a price at 7-1 as a horse that's coming back. The 4 Seafoam, a horse that we know is going to handle going this long, going to handle going the longer distances. He tried a little bit longer, the 1.5 miles. He caught an off racetrack. I think he'll be aggressively ridden and should really appreciate the way the racetrack's been playing. And then the 9, Tiergan, to the outside. Maybe up against it a little bit in terms of the way the track is playing, but I thought this horse ran extremely well last time, lost a lot of ground, wide all the way around there, should be able to get a nice trip from the outside. The biggest issue is this horse going to be able to close into a racetrack like this? And a man who knows a little bit about the racetrack I'm speaking of, Aqueduct. Richie?
Yeah, I mean, that's the question. It just does seem like that, you know, if you have speed and inside position, you're getting all the best of it today. The 2-horse Danny California, horse that did not catch my eye in the paddock, definitely caught my eye on the racetrack. Loved his warm-up, left the pony aggressive, made a nice appearance. Danny California, the Red Hot Chili Pepper song. Karen Murphy, one of the owners, is here, and she was actually playing Danny California for Danny California in the paddock, so there is some moral support. The 3-horse Brooklyn Strong, his 2-year-old form was very good. Frankly, I don't see a horse that's grown up a lot. I think he was as big as he was as a 2-year-old as he is at this moment. Just doesn't look like he got bigger and stronger, and you usually see that kind of development from horses. I don't see it with the 3 Brooklyn Strong. And then the 4-horse Seafoam, I couldn't get past him because I just think the track aids him so much, and I do think he controls things on the front end. But full disclosure, I would have liked to seen a higher energy level from him in the warm-up. I do think it leaves some questions. I wasn't overly enthralled with his warm-up, guys.
All right, so some hesitancy in terms of what he's seen from Seafoam, gearing up for this Alex M. Robb Stakes, 8-5, as they have just about reached post time. They've just about reached the gate.
I'm not in love with Seafoam in here, but I think with the racetrack and, his speed and potential tactical edge, he becomes very tough to beat. I agree. It's very hard for me because I'm a man of strong opinions, and I love to back him up at the windows, but it's hard when you have a real bias. What do you do? Now, if I like a horse and he's 10-1, I'm still going to bet. I may bet less than I normally would have bet. With a horse like the 2 Danny California at 3-1, it makes it a decision a little bit easier and a little easier not to bet because if he wins, it's not that big a price. I bet some exactas. I bet the 2 with the 4 and 9. Didn't bet a lot of money in this race. I think the 4 is vulnerable, but in this racetrack, it may not matter. And it's a simple situation like Blewitt. I thought Blewitt was a great bet against, but I didn't bet against him because of the racetrack. You have to take all factors into account. And if you're somebody like me, you make your picks well in advance. You're going to make those picks, but you have to reevaluate things as a bettor as the day goes on. You can't be stubborn.
Have to pivot, see if Seafoam takes advantage of how the track has been playing. Can Michelle Giangulio earn a second career stakes victory? We're about to find out. Final stakes race of the year in New York of 2021. 43rd running of the Alex M. Robb live on America's Day at the Races. Here's John Ambrial.
Ready for the start. And they're off in the Alex M. Robb Stakes. And it is Captain Bombastic who is hustled out for the early lead, challenged on the inside by Seafoam. Seafoam and Captain Bombastic, they are right together going around the clubhouse turn. The front 2 have opened up 5 lengths already on Our Last Buck, who runs in 3rd. Danny California is down on the inside in 4th. Then Tiergan, Brooklyn Strong, and Wild Banker trails the field in 7th. Seafoam is the leader as they race up the backstretch. Seafoam by 3/4 of a length through a quarter in 23 and 2/5 seconds. Captain Bombastic just behind in second. It's 3.5 lengths to Our Last Buck in 3rd. Danny California looking to improve position down towards the inside in 4th. Then comes Tiergan, followed by Brooklyn Strong, and Wild Banker is the trailer. It is Seafoam in front. Half mile, 47 and 4. Seafoam over Captain Bombastic. They remain 1-2. Our Last Buck on the outside is in 3rd. Danny California just in behind the front runners in 4th. Tiergan is alongside. Brooklyn Strong being asked for more. And Wild Banker. And the field is going around the far turn. Now 3 of them across the track. Seafoam is down at the rail. Captain Bombastic in between horses. Our Last Buck is on the outside. It's Seafoam by a head over Our Last Buck. Captain Bombastic is now back running in 3rd. Danny California in 4th with 1/4 mile to the finish. It is Seafoam on the inside. Our Last Buck on the outside. Seafoam narrowly. Our Last Buck driving in 2nd. Danny California is in 3rd. And now they're at the 8th pole. It is Seafoam holding on to the lead. Our Last Buck. Danny California way out in the track. A 16th to the finish. Seafoam trying to hold off the late charge of Danny California. Seafoam, Danny California. Seafoam is the winner. Seafoam by a long neck. Danny California was 2nd. Our Last Buck finished 3rd.
You had to work for that one. Really had to dig deep, work hard for that one. Seafoam hounded early, pressured at the top of the stretch. Still good enough to find just enough to take down the final stakes race in New York of 2021.
Bias or not, when you're pushed through a very fast quarter, it's an impressive win. But this race is different on a fair racetrack. And take nothing away from Seafoam. Congratulations to Connections. Connections have been mentioned in this show a few times before. Did Jose get a little bit overconfident? Did he drop back too much? He made that move. He got close. He allowed him to drop back. Made that big run. He came up short. I don't know. It's hard to say. The gallop out people say, well, he's never getting by because Seafoam kept running. I don't know. He certainly felt like he got there. Seafoam earned this victory. I take nothing away from him. But you've got a racetrack that is helping his running style and hurting the others. And just in making that move to get into contention early with Danny California, he's already running against the sort of grain of his best races.
Danny California, late surge on the outside, 4-2-5-8. How concerned were you? How concerned were, there's Michelle Giangulio, second career victory, second career stakes victory. And by the way, she's now 4 for 4 as Giangulio during the winter portion of this Aqueduct meet.
Yeah, no, our horses are running very well, and Seafoam's turned out to be a terrific claim. And listen, this was a horse when Christophe Clement had him. Whenever he was successful, they were aggressive with him, and it was something that Joel Rosario did very, very well. There was a win back at Saratoga in 2020 where he bottomed a field out, went the first half in 46-3. Not the kind of fraction you see in too many big races, a mile and eighth, even in the stake races. This horse can go fast and still finish at the end, and I think that's something that Kendrick knew, and it gave him confidence. And you saw a terrific aggressive ride by Jose Lezcano, and I imagine that Toby Sheets, the assistant for Steve Asmussen, said, I want you to be aggressive. But Kendrick said, I don't care how aggressive you are, I am not giving up the lead. And that's because Kendrick Carmouche, as much as any rider in the game, is acutely aware of biases.
How compromised did you think his chances were early on facing that type of heat, running a mile and an eighth? Tracker, bias or otherwise.
Compromised for sure, because I thought he was a bit vulnerable going in. It turned out that he was good enough, and the track helped him get it done. But he did earn this victory. Sorry to see Brooklyn Strong not do any running. Hopefully he can run better next time, but it just doesn't seem to be the horse that he could have been.
Expecting more from him on this afternoon. Seafoam, tough as nails in deep stretch. Kendrick Carmouche, 3 wins on the New Year's Eve program. The high five you saw from Michelle Giangiulio. Seafoam, another stakes victory, taking down the Alex M. Robb from Aqueduct. Much more on America's Day at the Races.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 7 millionaires. With over 10% stakes performers, his recent top runners include Tarabi, placed in the Grade 1 Spinaway and Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, Grade 2 winner Plum Ali, multi-millionaire Shivaji, plus these standout performers. Now his biggest book in the past decade will be 3-year-olds in 2022. A proven value sire, First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Fun show those tough, grizzled New York breds just put on in the feature on the New Year's Eve program at Aqueduct. Welcome back, everyone. You're watching America's Day at the Races. 7 down, 1 left on the Friday program at Aqueduct. 3 wins on the afternoon, all smiles. Kendrick Carmouche and Michelle Giangiulio. 2nd career stakes victory, winning trainer with Richie in the winner's circle.
Yeah, thanks, Lafitte. Michelle Giangiulio, this is a horse you claimed over the summer, gave you your first win as a trainer, and your first stake winner in that process. How great does this feel?
Oh, it feels so good to get him in the winner's circle again. I mean, he tries so hard every time, and he trains so good. He loves his job. He loves what he does. So it's just really, really good to see him in the winner's circle again. I mean, I can't even explain how I feel. I mean, it's so rewarding. I'm so happy. I'm just thrilled for the owners and everybody involved. It's been a great run with him.
Well, you've been on a great run here at Aqueduct. This is your 4th winner from your 4th starter. So how good does it feel to see everything come to fruition?
It feels amazing. I mean, it's just a lot of hard work paying off right now. You know, it's so rewarding. It's the best way to explain it. You know, it's just they're all training really, really well. Only got 5 horses, and to see them running the way they are and winning, you know, back to back to back is just, it's unbelievable.
Very cool. Now, I saw your former boss, Tom Morley, in the winner's circle. I'm sure you're a source of pride for him as well.
Absolutely, yeah, that made me cry a little bit, that big hug he just gave me. Yeah, we had a lot of good years together, me and Tom, so it was really nice to get a big hug from him like that.
Any worries when you saw he was getting some pressure early on from the outside horse? And, I mean, I know the inside portion of the track and speed's been great, but did you have any concerns?
Yeah, I was a little bit. I mean, the pace was pretty quick, and, you know, I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to hang on. I mean, he did last time. I mean, he went way faster last time, but, you know, saw Mr. Bombastic go out in front for a second. I was a little bit worried, but once he got him on the lead and he relaxes, he goes loose rein, and you see him out there, his ears just flickering. I know we were okay.
Well, congratulations. Way to end the year. All the best in the coming new year. And Seafoam, he's as game as they come, and he loves when he makes the front, guys.
So tough in the stretch. Seafoam, Michelle Giangulio. You can understand, you know, the pride, this claim, having won 2 stakes races. We look back at the win at Saratoga and what he means to her for a trainer just getting started.
And I think it's kind of cool here on New Year's Eve that the trainer, you know, one of, I think, everybody's favorite moments in Saratoga. And, you know, none of us bet the horse. So it wasn't, you know, one of these things where we were all excited about cashing a bet. I think we were genuinely caught up in the emotion of the moment from Michelle. And I think it's a nice way to close out 2021. A year that hasn't had, I feel like we've had a lot of good moments, but it's been a rough year for a lot of people. But that was a nice moment, a nice way to close out the year.
A lot of reflecting on New Year's Eve, among other things. And I thought it was fitting that this horse was the favorite in the New Year's Eve feature because of that moment, reliving it at Saratoga and watching him come back today to win the Alex M. Robb. And because Manny Franco did not win that last race, Jose Ortiz, it's official with 1 race left, the New York Racing Association 2021 riding champ for the 3rd time in his still very young career. He's only 28 years old.
And now that he's staying here in the winter, that's going to give him a big edge on his brother. I don't think that's the reason he stayed. I think he wanted to be here with the family. And let's face it, there are a lot of riders that are making those decisions to stay in New York. The purses are terrific. It's nice to ride around here, and we're glad to have Jose here for the winter. We're thrilled to have Manny as well, and of course, Irad will be back. Irad will win a lot of races next year, but with Jose staying here in the winter, he becomes an enormous favorite to repeat next
First time in 6 years, Ortiz riding in New York in the winter. Congratulations, Jose Ortiz, 3-time New York Racing Association riding champ. Back in Hot Springs, Oaklawn Park, in this $30,000 claiming event. Saw the field and updated odds. Live look at number 7 here. And don't forget, it's 7-2 for Robertino Diodoro. Gary Stevens on site. Gary, through the first 9 days of the meet, Diodoro had claimed 15 horses at Oaklawn Park. The claiming in general, there's been so much of it the first few weeks of the meet.
Yeah, listen, Lafitte, they call it the claiming game. It's not a game here. It's a business. And it's Robertino Diodoro. It's been a constant that he's been in the claim box. And listen, a lot of these horses, they're shaking for, meaning there's been multiple claims on the same horse. So they actually shake the peas to see who's going to wind up with the horse. And he's been very lucky at the entry or at the claiming box. Getting the ones he wanted claimed. At Mike Maker, he had the 10 horse in here, Drina Star, which he scratched. That horse was protected last time out. It was in for $30,000 today. So I'd say probably the reason this horse was scratched is he didn't want to lose this horse today. Listen, Robertino's horse in here, don't forget, was protected last time. And a 10,000 starter allowance race. Drops in for the 30 today for sale. But listen, there's guys like Chris Hartman, Mac Robertson, Carl Broberg. They've all been very, very active at the claim box. And there's been other people that normally aren't claiming horses that are claiming because they're losing their horses and they're having to fill their stalls back up. So it's fun to watch and a lot of excitement. The owners are down here. They're hoping that they win on the shakes. But look, you can count on it that all day long they're going to be claiming horses. The winner of the last race, it was a $50,000 claiming race. Or 2 races back, it was a $50,000 claiming race. And that horse, there were multiple claims in for it as well. So a lot of activity out here, guys, at the claim box.
You're not kidding. A 15-way shake for one horse, 76 claims in the first 9 days at Oaklawn. They probably went over $2 million in money spent claiming horses on This afternoon, and JK, the gelding we're looking at, Riverboat Gambler, first after the claim, Carl Broberg.
Well, the name, obviously, is near and dear to my heart. I'm just kidding. As a gambler, this is a horse that, look, it's taking a lot of money. Carl Broberg wins a lot of races. The other thing I'll say is this is a reclaim. If you look at the past performances, this horse was entered by Carl Broberg for $15,000. The horse gets claimed from him, shows back up for $25,000. Carl Broberg comes back in, claims the horse back for $25,000, and then today is running him for $30,000. To me, that's a sign of confidence. He likes this horse. He likes this horse for this spot. And I think the one Riverboat Gambler is going to run well today.
Riverboat Gambler, 4-1 drawn inside. JK, Andy, how did the complexion of the race change? Gary mentioned the absence of Adrena's Star here.
Well, that's a huge change in here because that takes out a significant speed from the race, and it really changes the pace complexion and helps out horses like the 8, even the 6, both of those horses that are forward, instead of having to chase a fast speed, they can be forward in a race that may not have a ton of pace. So we'll see how it plays out. I thought this was a very, very tough race. I think the price on the 8 makes him playable, but this is the kind of board you like to see for gambling. If you have opinions, 7-2 favorite, a couple 4-1s, a 5-1 and a 6-1, or 5-1 and 9-2. I don't have a strong opinion. I just feel like this race may not have as strong a pace, and I think it's going to help horses that are forward.
Competitive $30,000 claiming event. You're looking at number 5, Ultimate. Now, this is a first after the claim. Lindsey Schultz off of trainer Steve Asmussen. Most recent appearance did wire the field essentially while prompting the pace and kicking clear in the stretch at Churchill Downs early November.
Yeah, but I'm not familiar with this trainer, and I don't mean any disrespect, but you're getting a horse that's not just claimed from Steve Asmussen, who's also in Mike Maker's barn, and these are the kind of horses in claiming races, at least I generally look to bet against. I don't want to take them. They switch to a new barn. Listen, you're going to get paid if you like this horse. I don't think this horse can make the lead in here, and I don't think he's good enough to beat these horses as well. I prefer others.
That's the follow-up. Would a repeat of that effort put him in the mix?
On the fringes at best.
All right. And JK's top selection, your thoughts? Riverboat Gambler down from 20-1 on the morning line, 4-1 at post time.
Well, whoever made this horse 20-1 in the morning line needs to question what they're doing making a morning line. That's my first response. This horse was 20-1 morning line?
20-1.
Was there a 2-5 shot scratched I don't know about?
Adrena Star was 3-1. Storm Advisory was 9-2. Couple
okay,
of contenders
so
defecting.
it cuts down to 12. But I'll root for Jonathan. The last races was okay, and the scratch is not going to hurt this horse. Can be forward, forces the hand a little bit. I didn't love this horse, but I wouldn't bet him at 7-2, but I won't be shocked if he runs well. This is a tough race. I think the 8 is the worst. I'd bet a couple dollars on because I don't think he should be 11-1. Second off a layoff.
Lonely Private.
Second off a layoff last time, right?
Steps forward. Wide open, $30,000 claiming sprint. It is post time. Riverboat Gambler was 7-2 at last check. Yodelay Who 7-2 as well. Vic Stauffer standing by with the call. It is post time live from Oaklawn Park.
Ultimate. Sturgill. Last to load, looking for 8. They're at the post. They're off. Fast start for Lonely Private and Sturgill. These two break quickly. Archie, my boy, away in third. Then comes, moving through at the rail, Yodel 8, E.A. Who, and Riverboat Gambler. In the middle of the track, it's Ultimate. Then Don't Forget and Looking for 8, and the trailer is Cave Run. Sturgill's fastest up the backstretch now and clears off to lead by 2 lengths from Lonely Private and Yodel E.A. Who, second and third. Then it's a length and a half to Ultimate, who moves nicely up into fourth, and a length in front of Riverboat Gambler. Don't Forget is tightly between horses. Meanwhile, Looking for 8 goes by him, and he's on the move. Meanwhile, Sturgill is 3 in front. Cave Run is the trailer, and Sturgill is the leader. It is Sturgill at the top of the stretch with a 4-length lead now from Ultimate, who has moved into second. Looking for 8 is third. Don't Forget is fourth, and they come to the final furlong with Sturgill in front. Ultimate is beginning to come after him in second, and here's Ultimate catching Sturgill. Sturgill has the lead by a length and a half. Ultimate continues to grind after him and tries to give Lindsey Schultz her first win. Sturgill, Ultimate gonna make it close. Sturgill, Ultimate, Sturgill hangs on. Sturgill beat Ultimate. It's close for third between Cave Run and Don't Forget.
Desperate finish in the 6th at Oaklawn. Sturgill just able to repel the late charge of Ultimate.
Well, give credit to the rider who was aggressive and sent the lead and sort of make Cabrera cake back and controlling on the front end. Never a bad thing in racing. And Sturgill, I don't know what price he was, but I'm guessing this one was a big price. Gets the win. Tough beat for Ultimate. Did run well off the claim. Lindsey Schultz looking for that, as Vic Stauffer noted, first win. Came just short, but the horse ran well off the claim. No question about it.
Do we have a price on Sturgill at post time as we go to break? Not just yet. We'll have the results when we come back. Also, he's a talented rider, proud new father. Trevor McCarthy with so much to smile about. He and his wife, Katie, with the arrival of their first child 11 days ago. That's next.
Introducing a stallion, as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Buyer speed figures, a 3-time Grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
It's a Motown, the son of Uncle Mo, to win the Remsen.
Motown flying, Motown will win a Thriller, Motown to win it, and Motown has won the Hollywood Derby.
Introducing Adelphi Racing Club, the horse racing syndicate offering more than just fractional ownership. Enjoy the thrill of an interactive thoroughbred ownership experience competing at the sport's highest level. Attend events where you'll interact with top trainers, industry professionals, and club members. We've cheered on winners from coast to coast at top tracks such as Santa Anita and Saratoga.
And it will be Exotic West.
Become part of a group that celebrates success together. Visit AdelphiRacing.com and join the club today.
Your New Year's Eve with us. You're watching America's Day at the Races, as always, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Have Derby preps tomorrow. 2-year-olds turning 3. The Jerome here, Smarty Jones at Oaklawn, but one race left to close out the year. New York bred maidens. They're in the paddock, 2-year-olds, going a mile. Andy, wanted to ask you about Boss making boss moves with riders up, and 2 starts back. What happened?
The number 4 horse sort of came out at the start. He ended up clipping heels behind him. I think this is an interesting trip school discussion. Yes, this horse had trouble. No denying it. You're going to see right here, the 4 came out. Broke a little slow and clipped. But the reality was this was a wicked fast pace that absolutely collapsed. So that trouble was mitigated by the race dynamics. So yeah, it didn't help, but the horse was going to be second anyway because it wasn't enough to corral the winner. And the way the race played out, in my opinion, is far more significant than the trouble he had at the start, because falling towards the back of the pack was good for him. It was a fast pace. So now you've got a horse that's dressed up by a fast pace that fell apart. And now he's a deep closer getting more distance, which is never good or rarely good, on a racetrack that's very much against his running style. To me, he is absolutely the wrong horse in this race. He was the wrong one going in, and he's really the wrong one now, given how the track is playing. So if Boss Making Moves wins this race, there's no bet that I could win.
It's easy to overreact as a handicapper when you see that type of start.
Yeah.
You see that as we look at the post parade, and you assume that's okay, wiped out, and immediately put a line through that race.
Right. No, you have to take the entire trip into consideration, not just one notice of trouble. Trouble for sure, but a lot of good happened for that horse too.
Saw Untreated overcome sluggish start earlier in the program.
This isn't Untreated.
That's not A New York bred maidens. 2-year-olds turn 3 in a few hours. Kendrick Carmouche looking for a 4th win on the afternoon, and there is Boss making boss moves.
Yeah.
Quick look at it.
Was that a boss move he made?
That was a boss move.
This is the scary one. Juggler off the claim for Juan Vasquez. Anyone following things know his horses have been running off the screen. Had a win that created the carryover yesterday in the last race, and he could be the speed, though Jose Ortiz on the favorite is supposed to just go.
Pedal to the metal. Curlin's Wisdom, you'll see. Uncle Waterflow would be a big, big surprise.
I just want to know what Uncle Waterflow is.
Mm.
Is it like a shower term or something?
Uncle Waterflow. Be a good name for like a faucet or something.
I don't know. I'm just curious. The 10, Curlin's Wisdom, I don't know why, Bill Mott tried the turf with this horse, the Rockport Harbor Dam. This is a dirt horse, and when he ran his debut, he was against the track. He was wide, and that was a very strong rail, and I think he ran a lot better than it looks. He's the controlling speed, and I think when you're Jose Ortiz and you're riding controlling speed, you're not supposed to just sort of think, I'm riding the best horse, I'm going to... No, go. It's a racetrack favoring speed. You have speed. Use that speed as a weapon. Don't take anything for granted and win the race with the best horse riding him the right way.
Jose Ortiz already having captured his 3rd New York riding title for 2021, and a very talented rider you're looking at there. And Trevor McCarthy, boss making boss moves. And look at that smile. Proud new father. You see that's Riley McCarthy, born on December 12th, 6 pounds, 15 ounces, and the pride from Trevor and wife Katie, and congratulations to both of them. Richie, how does that change things from a rider? Is there a difference going back to work, going back to this race, this game that is very dangerous, once you have become a father? How did things change for you?
Well, you kind of put that factor out of your head. You can't be taking what they call the married man's path out wide. You've got to go out on the racetrack with a clear head and cut all the corners and take all the chances you ever did. And I see that with Trevor. He has not changed his style a little bit. If anything, you have a little more urgency. You got to start putting money away in college funds, and you've got another mouth to feed. And I could see how happy Trevor and Katie are. And you want to talk about a little girl that has a pedigree to be a rider. Michael McCarthy, Trevor's dad, was a terrific rider. Trevor's a terrific rider. Robbie Davis, Katie Davis's father, multiple Grade 1 winning, terrific rider. Katie, good rider, winning rider. This kid has all the pedigree to turn out to be a rider, but let's give her a little chance and maybe cut her first tooth first. But I'm very happy and excited for both Katie and Trevor. Congratulations to both the McCarthy and Davis families for the new addition. And interestingly enough, boss making boss moves. Trevor McCarthy's mount here could not look any better. I do think he'll appreciate the mile being by Lauban and from a physical perspective, but the track is playing against his style today. You want a horse involved, and I just don't think he's that quick. But from a physical perspective, he could not look any better. And boss making boss moves, I think, is a horse we'll keep an eye on, even if the track's playing against him today. The 7 Juggler makes a lot of sense. I think this turns out to be the speed of the speed. First time off the Juan Vasquez claim, was winning at 62% at this meet. Get a hold of that, 62%. And I do think this horse is going to have to be caught, and the horse that is taking all the money and will probably be the horse that's going to be his closest pursuer, if not outrun him, is the 10, Curlin Wisdom. Has the right style for the track, gets back to the preferred surface. And how often do you see a New York bred by Curlin?
By Curlin. Curlin's Wisdom to the outside, even money.
Every
Trevor
race.
Go ahead.
I think you see it every race. What's Richie talking about? What is he talking about? We got a New York bred race, and there's one in it. So isn't it one a race?
And New York bred winning the Cigar Mile this year.
That's right.
American Revolution.
That's right.
Little Riley McCarthy, though, from a race riding standpoint, regally bred.
I think Trevor is not. Trevor and Katie are hoping their child, much like Richie Migliori's wife, hoping that their child is not a jockey.
I
think Bella told Richie those kids will be jockeys over my dead body.
Joseph could be in the NBA before he could be riding horses.
He could have done anything he wanted before over jockey, according to Bella, and I agree.
Final race of 2021 in New York. Post time for the 8th from the Big A.
And they're off. Oh, a stumble after the start there for number 9, Uncle Waterflow, and he's towards the back of the pack. Curlin's Wisdom was away well from the outside post. Now Salute to America is moving up. And in between horses there is Juggler. So it's 3 of them across the track for the lead. And the front 3 open up 4 lengths on Beau in the back, who's racing in 4th. Boss Making Boss moves next in 5th, followed by Regal Empire in 6th. Salty Air runs in 7th. Excursion East is in 8th. And after that awkward start, the trailer is Uncle Water Flow. The leader now is Salute to America in front here by a length. The quarter went in 23 seconds. Juggler runs in second, 2.5 lengths to the favorite Curlin's Wisdom, who is next in third. It's another 3 lengths. Back to Boss Making Boss moves down on the inside and racing in 4th. As the field heads for the far turn, the half was 46-3. Salute to America is the leader. Curlin's Wisdom now makes his move on the outside, and Juggler is right there in between horses. A break of 4. Back to Boss Making Boss moves in 4th. Uncle Waterflow on the outside, and down towards the rail is Excursion East. And now they're at the top of the stretch, and now Curlin's Wisdom is the leader. 3/4 in 1:11.4. It is Curlin's Wisdom in front with Boss Making Boss moves, making his move on the outside. It is Boss Making Boss moves who has the lead. Curlin's Wisdom back running in second. It is Boss Making Boss moves to close the curtain on 2021. Boss Making Boss moves drew away at the end, won by 7 lengths. Curlin's Wisdom completes the exacta.
A proud new father, the winning rider of the final race in New York in 2021. Trevor McCarthy, Boss Making Boss moves. Take it down the nightcap.
And this horse was an hour the best in this race. I mean, no doubt he got a very fast pace. A quarter for 23 is very, very fast for this quality of horse. And give Trevor a lot of credit. Trevor is acutely aware of racetracks, and he got this horse as close as he could get him. So at least he was within tailing distance if he made his run. But made his run, he did. I mean, he galloped by the field. I could say the pace was quick, and maybe it didn't help Curlin's Wisdom, but I mean, he beat him by 6 or 7 lengths. Curlin's Wisdom, very disappointing in defeat, but I couldn't have been more wrong about Boss Making Boss moves, and he absolutely galloped here.
5-1, Trevor McCarthy. Katie watching, she's smiling. Riley probably watching, 11 days old, she's smiling. Daddy just won a race at Aqueduct, the last race of the year in New York. 6-10-7-4. Boss Making Boss moves, graduates in his 4th career start for Richard Schosberg. We'll have the results, and we'll also hear from Jose Ortiz, having captured that New York Racing Association riding title for the year. Also, all horses a year older tomorrow. How about the Jerome first step towards the Wood Memorial? Hagler has rattled off 2 straight, looking to deliver a knockout blow in the Jerome while earning 10 Kentucky Derby qualifying points. That's tomorrow.
Run Happy is the #1 second crop sire by stakes winners, graded stakes winners, and earnings. Run Happy is represented by Smile Happy, the Kentucky Derby individual Future Pool 1 favorite. A leading dirt sire, and now with an exciting Kentucky Derby hopeful. Call Bernie Sams now and book your mare to Eclipse champion Run Happy right now. Run Happy standing in stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. As always, brought to you in part by Run Happy. Champion sprinter, always race medication free, stands in stall 1 at legendary Claiborne Farm. Last race of the year goes to Boss Making Boss Moves, and Trevor McCarthy with lots to celebrate and smile about these days. Winning this race with Boss Making Boss Moves and able to overhaul the favorite, Curlin's Wisdom, with Jose Ortiz capturing that New York Racing Association riding title. Juggler having to settle for third, 6-10-1 in the 8th and final at Aqueduct. Richie in the winner's circle with Jose Ortiz, 2021 New York riding champ.
Yeah, and it's just a great accomplishment for the 3rd time leading rider for the entire year in New York. Jose, how satisfying is it to get that accomplishment?
I mean, it's great. We have a very deep colony, and to win the most races here in New York, which is my home, it makes it very special. I'm very happy. I want to thank the owner, the trainers, and everybody, the staff in the barns. You know, without them, it's impossible to do this. And my agent, who always do a very good job.
Jose, you're a graduate of the Jockey School in Puerto Rico. Since 2014, your brother Irad's been leading rider for the year 3 times, Manny Franco twice, now you 3 times. No other jockey since 2014 has been leading rider in New York except for you guys, all graduates of the Jockey School there. Tell me about the program and just exactly what they do to turn out such terrifically talented riders.
Well, it's a great program, like everybody knows. It's a 2-year program. First year, you basically, you know, go in the round pen with some ponies. We have a barn. We had to groom them, had to do everything with them. 6 months on the round pen, 6 months on the little track, inside the main track. And then the second year, it gets a lot tougher. You go and you basically are freelance. You're doing it for free, but you're getting on 10, 11, 12 horses a day, you know, and that gets you to, you know, you keep polishing your skills. And I mean, it means a lot that we are doing the things we're doing here and putting the name of the school on Puerto Rico in the map. You know, it's been there, Johnny, June, Angel, they've been great, you know. So, but I mean, it was, you know, we younger and hopefully we keep carrying the torch, you know.
Congratulations, great job. Best of everything in the new year, health, good luck. And guys, from a round pen to a round winner's circle, consistently here in New York.
Thank you. Big smile, rightfully so. Jose Ortiz, you brought something up this summer as you look at the payouts for the 8th and final, closing things out here at Aqueduct on this New Year's Eve program. You pointed out how Irad Ortiz, that he had the support of a Chad Brown, a major stable that he had first call for. By the way, just over $1,400 for that pick 60 2-day carryover and mandatory payout. Formful throughout the afternoon. Biggest payoff was Boss Making Boss Move, $13. But that Ortiz really didn't have that necessarily that support from that one huge stable.
And I think that's where his agent, Jimmy Riccio, he mentioned, comes into play. And glad to see Jose, unlike some other riders who really appreciate the job his agent does, is that he rides for a lot of people. In some cases, it's good because you're open to a lot of people. You're not tied down. And listen, you want to ride for those guys. And Jose's been riding a lot more for Chad Brown lately. But I don't think he has had the same kind of relationship. He's ridden a lot for Shug McGay at different times, but Jose's ridden for a lot of riders. And I remember when Irad was here and we'd already established, you know, he'd become a journeyman and done well. And Richie said, you got to see his brother riding out at, he was riding at Parks. He said, I don't know. He might be better than Irad. And, you know, whether or not he's better than Irad, they're both such fabulous riders. Remains to be seen, but he's a really terrific rider. You know, I wonder if Richard Migliore had been able to go to that jockey school. Maybe he could have been a successful rider.
He's only Aqueduct's all-time leading jockey, Richie Migliore.
Really
that
good.
school in Puerto Rico, that's like the Alabama LSU of thoroughbred racing. Like a football factory, right? NFL star after NFL star. Manny Franco, Irad, Jose, they're doing something right at the Puerto Rican jockey school.
No question about it. And all good guys, too.
The one ride that comes
Despite
to mind
blocking
is
me on Twitter by one of them. But, you know,
You'll get over it. You're going to get over it.
Listen, I respect people that block me on Twitter.
The ride on Pizza Bianca in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf by Jose Ortiz for Christophe Clement, getting that first Breeders' Cup win for Bobby Flay, is the one moment for Ortiz in terms of an individual ride that comes to mind this year.
Oh, I agree. Listen, winning a Breeders' Cup for Christophe Clement, it takes Herculean effort. something that nobody else has been able to do.
He's widely considered the best
He is
trainer that
unique.
hadn't won a Breeders' Cup event until Pizza Bianchi's victory. In the Juvenile Fillies turf for Bobby Flay, brilliant ride Jose Ortiz, 2021's New York's leading rider for a third time. Post-parade Oaklawn, you're looking at Mr. Frost.
You know, our trip horse was scratched, Mini Conju, but he'll be back on Sunday. That's why he's scratched. The inside 3, wow, a little bit of. How about the money for the Asmussen first or the 2? We'll get to that one. Some good falls from that one. That dam was good, Cocobella.
Cocobella was a Godolphin Grade 1 winner at Saratoga. I think at Cocoa Beach.
Yeah, you're thinking Cocoa Beach, but she was good too.
She was good.
No, you're thinking, I thought of her first too. No, it's good.
Off the cuff, David Cohen.
Yeah, this one for Mike Maker, not taking a lot of money for my friends at 3 Diamonds.
How about Insolita with Martin Garcia?
This is a Brad Cox first that's taking some nibbles. There's really not a lot to go on the dam side pedigree.
More on Rudy Brisset, the trainer moment. There's Winterwood, the tepid choice at 3-1.
He's supposed to be favored. I mean, I know he's lost his first 2 starts, but he's running Beyer Figs in the 70s. He's the one to beat.
GT, 350.
Yeah, hard to like this one off a debut or didn't take any money and didn't do any running.
Rome and John Court at 23-1.
Gets a trainer change, but away from Brad Cox, no disrespect, but that's a tough trainer change to make, and this one needs to improve.
Clancy's Pistol, Raylo Gutierrez with a win earlier on the program.
Yeah, a first-time starter not taking any money.
Apprehend towards the outside for Laurent Giroux.
It's an interesting horse because just ran second behind Cornish's debut for Peter Miller. For whatever reason, they ran this horse in the turf the next time out. He's back to the right surface, and based on his first Beyer figure, he's supposed to be favored. So far, I guess this is the ex-assistant for Peter Miller, training his horse. I don't think it's had any success with limited starters, but Apprehend is very dangerous. That first race. This horse finished second at the Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner.
To be crowned champion. 2-year-old champ eventually, Corniche Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner. We mentioned Rudy Brisset, trainer Gary Stevens spending his first full season at Oaklawn, and he's got some nice prospects, young prospects in his stable there.
Yes, he does. He's got 16 horses based here at Oaklawn Park, made up mostly of 2-year-olds, soon to be 3 at midnight tonight. And they're here for a reason, and that is to try and qualify for the Kentucky Derby. And listen, he's got one of the most powerful conglomerates backing him. First of all, Windstar Farm, China Horse Club, and then SF Racing, Windstar, and just Madacat Stables, SF. These guys, they call them the Avengers, and they buy pretty much what they want to buy. All these horses are well bred, and they buy them with the thoughts of getting to the Kentucky Derby. So Rudolph is he's here every morning. He's able to get on his own horses, and I think that's a huge asset for him. He knows where he's at with all of them, but training away here. And this is one, obviously, that they've got hopes of bigger and better things with Winterwood, guys.
7-2, Winterwood, Gary. JK, what'd you come up with the 7th race here at Oaklawn? These 2-year-olds about to sprint 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, look, the 9 Winterwood on paper has 2 races that are basically maiden-breaking type races where you're supposed to get that first win, ran those types of performances. The fact that this horse is 7-2 on the board and they're betting this Steve Asmussen first-time starter as the favorite, you get Ricardo Santana and Steve back hooked up. I think the 2 favorite Outlaw, that's real money coming in to bet into the teeth of a Brad Cox first-time starter in the 8 Insolito and also into the teeth of the 9 Winterwood. So if I'm following the board, I'm going to go with the 2. I wouldn't argue with anyone who wanted to lean towards the 9 because, like I said, that horse has run 2 performances that absolutely should have gotten the maiden broken then. But to me, this horse is supposed to be favored. Maybe some late money will come and make this horse favored, but the fact that the 2 is the favorite now gives me a little bit of a clue that this horse can run.
Favorite Outlaw, Andy?
You know, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think a Steve Asmussen, a Brad Cox firster, they're just going to get bet. Now, listen, favorite Outlaws are 1/2 to 3 horses out of 7 from the Fall of the Dam that were pretty good. There's pedigree, and Asmussen's good with these firsters. But isn't Papa Rocket the 7-1 firster for Wayne Lucas, who almost never wins with first-time starters? Doesn't that horse strike you at 7-1 to be, in a funny way, bet much more strongly than the Brad Cox firster, who's 5-1, or the Steve Asmussen that's 3-1? I know they paid $300,000 it's into mischief, but Wayne Lucas could be any price. It's a Frank Fletcher horse, which is interesting. I'll bet you Papa Rocket is live, and I'm going to say something about the 9. I don't disagree with Jonathan. The 9 ran 2 races that would win a lot of maiden races. On the other hand, What about Apprehend that gets in, who's now the favorite 3-1? I mean, this is the horse to beat, in my opinion. Now, if you're somebody that thinks, I don't want to take the assistant for Peter Miller, who's retired from training, at least for the time being, I understand all of those asides. But of the horses that ran, this horse ran an 87 buyer in its debut and lost to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner. I'm sorry, that's the horse to beat in here. And I'll tell you, of the firsters, I want Pop It Rocket. And Wayne Lucas never seems to win with first-time starters. But this horse is bet.
Papa Rocket, Frank Fletcher, Frank's Roquette, top-class sprinter. Papa Rocket, see what he does in his debut while you're looking at favorite Outlaw at 5-2. And it's, look, these 2-year-olds, big field, and the wagering public, just in that conversation, it seemed like 3 to 4 different horses emerged as the favorite at one click or another.
Yeah, I mean, they're deciding. And obviously I'm sure there's somewhat of a story on favorite Outlaw. But the other thing I almost won with Steve Asmussen, listen, I know he's got a herd of horses. If they ever remake Akira Kurosawa's Ron, they can go to Steve and get about 1,000 horses for those scenes. But you just wonder how many good 2-year-old, soon-to-be 3-year-old firsters does he have? And listen, maybe there's an endless supply, but at some point they start to sort of slow down a little bit. Purses are good there, so you imagine Steve has left some. We'll see. I'm very curious to see how Papa Rocket does in this race. Drifted 8-1, but I still maintain that Apprehend, the 13, is the horse to beat.
That's what's exciting about New Year's Eve and this time of year in thoroughbred racing, where every registered North American thoroughbred becomes a year older on January 1st. These 2-year-olds will all be 3 tomorrow. And early Derby preps, and that's what they are. They're offering Kentucky Derby qualifying points in the first weekend of the new year. The Jerome here at Aqueduct, the first local step towards the Wood Memorial, and tomorrow the Smarty Jones first local step towards the Arkansas Derby, and Steve Asmussen will have a pair of runners.
You've been covering the Derby on the air for how many years now, Lafitte? 20?
No, not
15?
quite 20. 11? I think 11 was my first.
You know what? Each year you do seems like 2 to me, so I get that. I can't remember a year, seriously, where I feel like it's more wide open right now. Right now, Corniche, he's not even eligible to run in the Derby unless he switches trainers, to be fair. We don't know what Jack Christopher is going to do. He didn't run the distance in the Breeders' Cup. He's got to get a mile and a quarter. He's a Munnings. I like the horse that ran first, second in the Remsen, but I mean, I want to start taking a look because it feels about as wide open as can be.
Live coverage tomorrow, the Jerome at Aqueduct and the Smarty Jones here at Oaklawn. We'll preview those races a little bit later on. First things first, 2-year-olds here in the 7th at Oaklawn. Vic Stauffer standing by.
Clancy's Pistol. Insolito. 2 more now. Apprehend and Napa Valley. They're at the post. Waiting on Napa Valley now. Not in yet. They're at the post. They're off. Insolito caught a flyer, and Mr. Frost stood there. Insolito right to the front. Roman GT53 with favorite Outlaw at the rail. Then Momayas, followed by Apprehend off the cuff and Papa Rocket. Winterwood has 2 beat early. They are Napa Valley and Clancy's Pistol. In fact, he's got 3 beat. Mr. Frost is the trailer, and Insolito is the leader. It is Insolito from favorite Outlaw, 2-length lead. Rome is third with 3 lengths to make up. Apprehend, Momayas, and Papa Papa Rocket, all about 4 or 5 from the front. Then comes GT53 and Winterwood with a 4-wide Napa Valley. Off the Cuff has 10 lengths to make up. He's 5 in front of Mr. Frost, and far behind is Clancy's Pistol, and Insolito is challenged by Favorite Outlaw. Here's Insolito and Favorite Outlaw off the top of the turn. They've opened up a 3-length lead on Apprehend and Papa Rocket. Then Winterwood, Favorite Outlaw inches to a short lead. Apprehend is coming after him now in second, with Insolito battling on at the rail in third. Favorite Outlaw, Insolito, Apprehend. These are the 3. Favorite Outlaw, Apprehend on the outside coming. Favorite Outlaw, Apprehend in time. I think he got there. Apprehend and Favorite Outlaw hit it pretty much together, but I think Apprehend got it. Insolito third.
Desperate finish in the 7th at Oaklawn. These 2-year-olds. Favorite Outlaw trying to shake clear, but Apprehend enters the picture. Florent Giroux goes to work, and Apprehend responds late.
Dare I say it that Vic Stauffer missed a golden opportunity to say that Apprehend apprehended Favorite Outlaw. And that's the way you close out the year. That was a finish. And, you know, Favorite Outlaw ran very, very well. But to be fair, it's not like this race came apart, because the speeds were hanging around at the end, and Apprehend made a huge run to get there. And, boy, it looks like he just got there right in the shadow of the wire. It's not even sure he did, right? Yeah, it seems like he did.
It's a funny angle, but from every angle we've seen, it looks like Apprehend did apprehend Favorite Outlaw. Was that, do you think Favorite Outlaw, did he tire? Was he still digging? Did Apprehend go out and get him?
Well, I mean, he lost to a horse that finished second to Corniche.
Oh, yeah, that.
You know, maybe he just lost to a pretty darn good horse. You know, maybe this maiden race turns out to be a pretty strong one. Papa Rocket we talked about, he made a little move in the turn. He got a nice trip. He just wasn't good enough to finish. You can see why he took some money. He did run pretty well. But, I mean, I would have to say with Brad Cox and Insolito running well and Favorite Outlaw running well, and what we know about Apprehend, I mean, the final time of 1:10:37, I don't think they were coming apart in the stretch. I think this was just a darn good horse race. This is what you want to see, right? I mean, it's New Year's Eve. They're going to be 3 tomorrow. And, you know, and by the way, if you want to give the horse a little present, always good to give it any kind of horse, you know, whether it's old friends or the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation. Good time to celebrate the birthdays of these horses and show how much we all care about them.
Could see future Marshall at Martha Washington fillies a little bit later on at Oaklawn. Who knows, perhaps a Southwest runner, maybe a Rebel runner in this field. But for now, it looks like Apprehend in the 7th race, Oaklawn Park. By Arrowgate provided us with one of the greatest moments of the last 25 years or so, winning that Travers in the fastest 1.25 miles ever at Saratoga. Some of the highlights from 2021, the greatest moments in New York racing. Nick's Go, Horse of the Year, a Breeders' Cup Classic winner. He will be Horse of the Year. That run in the Whitney, and of course American Revolution, the New York bred in the Cigar.
A Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf, War of Will became a classic winner with this victory in the Preakness Stakes, and added a Grade 1 with turf credentials in the Maker's Mark Mile. A winner in Grade 1 placed at 2, multiple graded stakes victor at 3, and Grade 1 winner again at 4. This son of Warfront has proven his class at every level. At Keeneland November, his first mares and foals sold up to $310,000. War of Will, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Need help in finalizing your picks for the next race? Check out the Track Master selections provided by Equibase on every U.S. thoroughbred and harness track on Naira Bets. Use these selections to get quick expert advice from professionals in the business. Check out the thumbs up graphic next to the pick and the wager pad and scroll down for more details on the horse. Track Master selections available on Naira Bets and the Naira Bets app.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Early Happy New Year from all of us at America's Day at the Races. Live coverage continuing from Oaklawn Park, where we just saw an exciting finish. These 2-year-olds about to turn 3. You can see in the Liebe Long colors favorite Outlaw Ricardo Santana going to work. Insolito on the inside digging Andy, but on the outside, Apprehend lengthens his stride. Florent Giroux, the leading rider, going to pick off favorite Outlaw in the shadow of the wire.
Boy, Florent was working it with this horse to get him there and got the money right at the wire. $8 to win. Big exacta, $56 for $2. With
that'll work.
3-to-1 over a 3-to-1 over a 3-to-1 or 5-to-2. So nice price.
Strength of schedule, as you mentioned, debuted against Corniche, a Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner. Will be crowned 2-year-old champion of 2021. Peter Redekop's Apprehend. Onward and upward. For trainer Renee Amescua, Florent Giroux, $8 at post time, 13-8. 7 down, 2 left at Oaklawn Park as our coverage continues on this New Year's Eve program. We get excited about the 3-year-old prep races. All the 2-year-olds turning 3. We mentioned the Jerome tomorrow here at Aqueduct, the Smarty Jones at Oaklawn Park. But New Year's Eve is also a lot about reflecting and some of the better moments we watched in the sport over the last calendar year. Here are some of the highlights from 2021 in New York racing.
And it is Silver State to make it 6 in a row. Silver State and Ricardo Santana Jr., Malathot and Maracuja, they will battle on to the finish in a terrific rendition here, and it looked like Maracuja got it, pulling off the upset over the odds-on favorite. A Saratoga memory for the ages with this victory by Stellar Tap. Steve Asmussen is now North America's all-time leading trainer. On the outside, Forense Fire. On the inside, it is Yopon. Forense Fire seems to savage Yopon there in the stretch, and it's going to be Yopon who gets to the wire first. It is Got Stormy who has now come away with the lead. Got Stormy has won the Grade 1 4-star Dave handicap. It's Jackie's Warrior. Life is good. The two of them will battle it out. Jackie's Warrior by a head. And they ran 7 furlongs and won 21-1. And Malathot has taken the lead with a 16th to the finish. Malathot back in the win column. It is Latruska holding on to the lead. Latruska won it by a half length. Knicks Go out in the middle of the track and holding on to the lead here. Knicks Go with a wire-to-wire victory in the 94th running of the Grade 1 Whitney. It is Essential Quality and Midnight Bourbon. Essential Quality has won the Run Happy Travers.
And still at the back, it's Yabir. And Yabir is now mowing them down. Yabir, from last to first, will win the Jockey Club Derby and is in the Breeders' Cup.
Jack Christopher stretches out, steps up, and puts in a Grade 1 effort to win the Champagne. And now she's pouring it on here in the stretch. Echo Zulu, she has won all 3 of her starts, took the spin away at Saratoga, and she wins the Frazette here at Belmont. Fireworks in the stretch here in the Cigar Mile. American Revolution and following C. And American Revolution, the New York bred, has won. Here comes Essential Quality up on the outside to challenge Hot Rod Charlie. Essential Quality with a narrow lead, and he's showing his quality today. The champion 2-year-old has won the Test of the Champion.
Well-deserved nap for Essential Quality. It just every time you see the replay of the stretch of the Belmont Stakes and that stretch duel with Hot Rod Charlie, just gets the blood pumping.
I agree. It was such a great effort by two tremendous racehorses, and it came at such an opportune time. And I thought the win by Rombauer was great for Michael McCarthy as well in the Preakness, but at a time when racing was getting a lot of bad press, and justifiably so with Bob Baffert and Medina Spirit, it ended a Triple Crown that started out on sort of a low note. It ended on a real high note, the way it's supposed to, by seeing really good horses laying it all down on the racetrack. And I thought the Belmont Stakes had a lot to say about the second half of the year, where we saw a lot of very good stories, and we just saw so many of them in our recap.
So many great performances, storylines, moments in 2021 in New York. For you, what was the most memorable, the most special?
There were obviously a lot of terrific moments and a lot of terrific performances, but I think a performance that's kind of gotten a little forgotten about, and maybe it's because domestic spending got hurt 2 days before. I really think there's a very good chance he would have won the Breeders' Cup Turf. I think his performance in the Manhattan was kind of a forgotten great performance this year. I mean, Tribhuvan ran well. It was a fast pace. But he literally inhaled this field. He had run extremely well to dead heat against all odds, really, with a very tough trip down at Churchill. This was a breakout performance. And to be fair, I'm very friendly with the connections of this horse. So personally, it was an exciting moment for me seeing him win. But that's what racing's about. And you know what? Sometimes you're allowed to be a fan. But I don't think saying that domestic spending's win in the Manhattan was one of the best performances of 2021 as a stretch by any means.
No, there's nothing wrong with rooting for your friends. Yeah. And what makes these moments all the more special. Gary Stevens with us at Oaklawn Park. For you, Gary, and all the big races, special performances, storylines we followed, what comes to mind in terms of the most memorable over the last calendar year?
There were so many special moments of 2021 and great performances, but the one thing when I read the rundown this morning, my favorite moment, I didn't even hesitate. It was Echo Zulu. She won her first 2 races, moved on to Belmont Park, wins the Frizette, and to me that was her coming out party. She proved she could get the mile distance. It was not going to be a problem for her. She won that race by 7 1/4 lengths and just demolished that field, and it looked like there was more in the tank. Guess what? There was more in the tank. She destroyed the field in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies at Del Mar. I can't wait for 2022 to see what she's capable of doing. Will she move forward as a 3-year-old? She may not need to. She's that much the best of this group of horses so far. We'll see what 2022 holds, guys.
Echo Zulu, so brilliant, and it almost sounds trite, but it happens to be true. You never know what you're going to see in a 2-year-old race at Saratoga. And we mentioned on opening day, you said, Steve Asmussen on opening day back in 2011 unveiled a filly by the name of My Miss Aurelia. She went on to capture multiple Grade 1 races. She won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies and became a champion. It's like, who knows who we might see today? Who might we be introduced to? We were introduced to Echo Zulu on opening day.
And we knew right away. I mean, she ran a 92 buyer, and she's run every single race she's run. She's had a 90-plus buyer. That's unusual. Most horses, it takes a little while to progress. And she's an interesting horse because she's been the same top racehorse from her first race through her last, and she's run 4 races so far. So the question becomes, will she improve as a 3-year-old? She's going to need to improve because horses will get better. Right now, there's a big gap between her and the other 2-year-old fillies that we have seen. We've seen those gaps get closed a lot, but if she gets better, they're all going to have to get even better than that. She's obviously the horse to beat going forward.
You know how exciting Saratoga was? JK still hasn't left. JK, your top moment of New York racing.
I could send a bus fare
year.
if he's broke. I mean, I don't know. He hasn't asked.
I'm good. I'm good. I appreciate it. Look, I love the Jerkins, the Allen H. Jerkins, for a lot of different reasons. The H. Allen Jerkins, excuse me. I love that race for a lot of different reasons. It's the kind of the time of the summer where these horses that we followed on the Derby Trail decide to go around one turn, and there's horses you've been waiting to go one turn. This one wasn't a huge field like we've seen in the past, but it was one of the best horse races we've seen between Jackie's Warrior and Life is Good, and then somewhere back there is Following C, who also was very impressive. I thought this was an awesome race with two really talented racehorses. Unfortunately, Jackie's Warrior didn't get to really strut his stuff in the Breeders' Cup. The horse on the outside, Life is Good, did. As a fan, not probably the best betting race, but as a fan, this was one of my favorite moments of the year. You tie that into what Steve did by breaking the record, becoming the winningest most trainer in North American history, and then to keep that storyline going even a little bit further. I thought it was really cool what Ricardo Santana did, winning 7 Grade 1s at NYRA this year. We've seen these graphics all day about the success of Irad and Jose. They ride in New York year-round. Ricardo's all over the place. To win 7 Grade 1s in New York for a guy who's not based in New York outside of 8 weeks during the summer, I thought that was pretty impressive.
5 at Saratoga, JK, and what was special about that Jackie's Warrior, Life is Good confrontation is that so often we build up these races, especially when you're talking about two superstars that are about to butt heads. And so often is the case, the race itself doesn't live up to the hype. That race and several others on the undercard of the Travers specifically did live up to the hype and then some.
And also, what I really liked was it was very easy to compare. You had a Grade 1 for older horses run in the Forgo. You had a Grade 1 with Gamine in the Ballerina. Minutes apart, an hour plus between the races. And the performance of Life is Good off a layoff like that and Jackie's Warrior, in comparison, Life is Good went well over a second faster in his fractions. I mean, they were walking up front. He would have been in front by 10 lengths over those horses. Jackie's Warrior would have been in front even in second by 5 or so lengths. Life is Good off the layoff, laying it all down. They went over a second fast in those horses. Those were the kind of performances. It reminded me, not quite as exaggerated, as Arrogate. You know, when Arrogate showed up in the Travers, and we had seen sort of nice performances by the Nyquist of the world, and Gunrunner hadn't gotten good yet, and, you know, you had seen these 2- or 3-year-olds running 102 buyers, 103 buyers, and Arrogate showed them and showed this is what happened when a 120-plus buyer, they beat them by 14 lengths, and I think we saw that day how just tremendous both Jackie's Warrior and Life is Good were on the racetrack, and to see two tremendous horses lay it in a line like that, I can't think of anything better, and I agree with Jonathan. I believe that was the single greatest performance anywhere of 2021. Those two horses laying it down on the racetrack, that's what horse racing's all about.
I don't know if this qualifies as a moment. You mentioned Gamine, and I remember thinking back to the 2020 summer at Saratoga, empty grandstands, and I know we're still in the mix with the pandemic that continues, but we said to ourselves, what would it have been like today at Saratoga? How would the fans have reacted to seeing Gamine and 'Tis the Law, the way he won the Run Happy Travers? Just having the fans back at Saratoga, especially what opening day felt like, the entire meet. But the first thing that will come to mind about 2021 is the fans being back at the stands and how the racetrack felt, the way Saratoga is supposed to feel on a big Saturday.
I agree. It's nice to know that everybody doesn't hate you. No, I agree. I kid, but you're right. I think one of the nice things about a sense of normalcy is how quickly we got back to a sense of normalcy. We forgot that 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, we were going to racetracks where we had no fans, and things got back to normal. And I agree, obviously things are still tough and around, and they've changed, but there's still a sense of that normalcy, things you couldn't do before, and getting back to Saratoga and having the fans back, because Saratoga is about great racing, but it's also the place where our fans come. People don't come to the racetrack the way they used to. They can play from home. They can watch our show on TV. They can watch on the internet. They wager through the internet. But everybody comes to Saratoga at least for a weekend or a week or a couple of weekends. And that's the beauty of Saratoga. It reminds us that there are a lot of people out there that do love the game, even if we don't see them every day.
Our sincerest thank you to the fans. Over 1 million in attendance at Saratoga. Another
800 million bet.
Another attendance handle record shattered.
No, I agree. Listen, we've got tremendous fans, and it makes it easy to be fortunate enough to have the jobs that we have. And I know that sounds corny, but I believe that. I'm very fortunate to be able to do these jobs for people because we have the best fans. And I think there's a lot of misnomers that people don't care about racing. They care. Just because they aren't at the stadium doesn't mean they're not participating. And they're participating in a big way.
In a big way. Our thanks to the fans. Winding down 2021. Right back at it tomorrow. Derby preps at Aqueduct and Oaklawn Park. Look ahead to the Smarty Jones and at Oaklawn Park. first step towards the Arkansas Derby. 2-year-old's about to turn 3, and everybody gets Derby fever. You're watching America's Day at the Races.
Precocity.
Strategic speed. Some speed at 2, but can carry it on through their later careers.
Improbable, full of run. Improbable, now a Grade 1 winner.
It is a complete runaway, an authoritative run.
It's Improbable to win the Whitney.
Exciting 2-year-old fillies taking center stage at Oaklawn next. This is America's Day at the Races. As always, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Great stuff on ABR. Fans have been following the sport for a long time. New fans to the sport. A lot of insight. Great stuff at americasbestracing.net. Oaklawn's 8th race, these 2-year-old fillies, 5 minutes out. Post parade just moments ago. We start with Hypersport. Much more on jockey Francisco Arrieta in a moment.
Yeah, we'll see what we got with Hypersport, who I think is a bit of an overlay at 7-2. I think it's more than just a one-horse race.
Miss Chamita, 33-1.
This would be an upsetter.
Be a big shock. David Cabrera riding. 1 for 8 coming in. Number 3, Benedict Canyon for Steve Asmussen.
Yeah, ran in a Grade 1 last time for Bob Baffert, but it was not a very good Grade 1, to say the least.
The Starlet at Los Alamitos. See the little red feather colors. Ramon Vasquez rides. Then the odds-on favorite, Materia for Godolphin, Brad Cox, Florent Giroux, look out.
I don't understand why this horse is 4-5 and the one is 7-2. They're both sprinter type stretching out. This one didn't run well going long, and the one has more speed. Makes no sense.
Let's see if that fluctuates over the next few minutes. You just saw Cupid's Music. 1 for 5 coming in.
About to be 1 for 6.
About to be 1 for 6. Secret Oath and Luis Contreras.
This horse ran the Goldenrod and didn't have the best of trips in there, and actually didn't run that badly, but still would have to improve.
Again, you could be looking at a Martha Washington starter or two in this field, these 2-year-old fillies.
You love the Martha Washington.
Santana. I love the Road to the Oaks
Road. Martha Washington.
I get Derby Oaks fever way too easily. It's kind of pathetic.
Impulses
Calvin Burrell, 3-time Derby winner.
Okay. I predict that we see some horses tomorrow for the Oklahoma Derby, but that's another discussion.
Coldwater.
I like
the Coldwater while we try.
You know, the long shot I'd be a little interested in is the horse in the bottom, Red Hot Mess. Now, the horse's race 2 back was pretty good, and then it ran into a tough spot in the Tempted. If you want a price to get into your, if you feel like the 1 and 4 sort of have to be 1-2, how about 1-4 with 1-4 with 9? How's that?
2-year-old fillies. That'll work. $120,000 purse. These upstart 2-year-old fillies. Gary, we saw Francisco Arrieta on Hypersport. A big first season at Oaklawn Park, 3rd in the standings, and he's come out guns blazing the first few weeks of this meet.
Yeah, he really has, and he has all the tools to go even further. Listen, and Andy, I understand the 1 and the 4 sprinter types, it looks like, but listen, they're playing jockeys here as well. There's a good crowd here today on this New Year's Eve, and a lot of the fans are playing the 2 leading riders in the standings right now, and that's Florent Giroux and Arietta. So when I say he's got all the tools, he works hard. I think he's still improving with every day, every race he rides. He wants to learn. He's continuing to learn, and with riding the number of horses he's riding, he's only going to improve, and he's got a top agent, Jay Fedor. He was my agent when I was here in 2018, one of the top agents in the country. He knows every horse on the back stretch. He gets to the right barns, and he's in a position right now where he can request. He doesn't ask, he requests. Or a lot of times in Jay Feeder, he just tell trainers, you're riding me in this spot here. So he's starting off with a good meet. Things are going to get just a little bit tougher here in the coming weeks when Joel Rosario is going to resume riding on the 14th. He's going to be a permanent here at Oaklawn Park. So things are only going to get tougher for the rest of this colony when Rosario comes out of off his injury. Guys?
Star power. Joel Rosario. Gary, I had a follow-up as we look at the jockey standings at Oaklawn after the first few weeks of racing here. You mentioned Francisco Arietta, the quick start to the meet, Florent Giroux. Can you lend perspective to how competitive it's become in that jocks room at Oaklawn?
Well, it's become very competitive. And listen, with all the racetracks, with Turfway Park running their winter meet, a lot of guys decided to stay there. A lot of the guys went to New Orleans. So the jock colony is not large here. It's 17 riders approximately. They're about 17, 18, with a couple more new ones to come in. But with this smaller colony and all of the horses that we have, all of these guys fighting for the same opportunities, it's fun to watch. It's difficult. Believe me, I'm seeing just how difficult it is to pick up mounts and pick up new horses. But we're working at it. Everybody's working at it. See a lot of the agents, a lot of the jockeys out here early in the morning. And hey, early bird gets the worm, like they say. And it's a challenge, but it's a great challenge, guys.
Andy, the most lucrative racing in winter in North America, Oaklawn Park. Look at this here, $120,000 purse these 2-year-old fillies are about to run for as Florent Giroux has a 2-win lead over Francisco Arietta.
Purses are obviously very strong down there. And the reality is that I don't understand the PP. I don't understand how anybody looks at Hypersport and Materia and says, I think Materia should be odds on and Hypersport should be 5-2. Hypersport ran a faster speed figure in Breaking Her Maiden last time out than any number the Materia has ever run. Materia tried going long, and while she didn't have a great trip, she didn't run badly in that race. It was a quick pace. She did run 5th. She ran better sprinting when she cut back. She's going to stretch out, and the 1 is the clear speed from the rail, Hypersport. I bet 1-4 with 1-4 with 9. That's my play in the try. That's me. That's all I'm betting.
How about this effort in the Fern Creek at Churchill?
I know the Fern Creek is a very important race for you. Lafitte, it goes way back in the family. I can see you getting a little emotional while we're sitting here. That was okay. But she was also 8-5 and lost, by the way. Now, be honest with you. I didn't look up the stats, but I'll give you a stat. Stretching out in the dirt for Brad Cox. He's 80 for 278, 29%, but $1.59 ROI, suggesting over bet. At Oaklawn, just 12 for 50, a very credible 24%, but $1.35 ROI. And let me tell you something, 24% ain't getting the money at even money. So the numbers aren't great. I think the 1 could be favored in here, but should not be the second choice. They should be the same price or worse.
JK, you have to be excited about the discrepancy in odds then with Hypersport.
No, actually, Lafitte, I'm very excited that we're ending 2021 with Andy and I agreeing. Maybe a little foreshadowing of things to come. Me and Andy in a golf cart at Saratoga agreeing about everything next summer. I like the 1 Hypersport as well, down on the inside. This horse should appreciate a little bit of extra ground being by Blame. This horse ran extremely well last time with fast pace figures, but finished the race. A lot of times you'll see with young horses, talented horses, they'll go very fast early. They opened up such a big lead, they just kind of coast home. Not the scenario with Hypersport if you look at the pace figures and the final figure. This horse ran fast early and improved later in the race, suggesting this horse will appreciate the stretch out. And like you mentioned, in all seriousness, the differentiation in price between the 1 and the 4 is something to get excited about. Not as excited as Andy Sterling agreeing with you, but somewhere in the ballpark.
Well, the public's also agreeing with us, Jonathan.
Coming together.
Because they're coming together in odds. You have to do a couple of, we're talking about adjusting when you have a track bias.
Sure.
But you also have to be willing to adjust by price. Let's say you like a horse and you thought you were going to get 4 or 5 to 1, and the horse ends up going off 2 to 1 or 5 to 2. You can't really be excited about betting a horse you thought you were getting twice the price on. You're looking for value, the elusive value. By the same token, you have a horse as your second or third choice.
Every time I say the word value around you.
Well,
I
but
duck.
if your second or third choice you thought was going to be around 7 to 2 or 4 to 1 is 10 to 1 on the board, that's the horse you want to key off of in betting. That's because you're saying to yourself, I thought it'd be lower. So to me, this is value. And you have to believe in yourself at some point.
Connections. Florent Giroux, Brett Cox, Materia for Godolphin. Hypersport drawn inside with Francisco Arrieta. Exciting 2-year-old fillies running a mile, $120,000 purse. All set for the 8th, live from Oaklawn. Vic Stauffer standing by.
The last horse to load will be Red Hot Mess. They're at the post. They're off. Hypersport and Maida Rea go fast early. Benedict Canyon tightly between those two. Might have to get out. Going to squeeze through, and these three are fairly flying early. Knowing Glance and Red Hot Mess are next. Then comes Secret Oath, followed by Cupid's Music down at the rail. Second last is Miss Chimita, and the distant trailer right now is Impulsus. A real scramble on to the lead for the backstretch. Hypersport and Benedict Canyon as Matarea now backs off and will sit in third. Hypersport's a neck in front. Benedict Canyon is pressing in second. These two sprint 2.5 clear of Matarea. Then comes Knowing Glance and Red Hot Mess. They're 4th and 5th and about 3.5 off the lead. Secret Oath has 5 lengths to make up. Then comes Miss Chimita at the rail with 6 to close. Cupid's Dance is next, and the trailer is still Impulsus past the half-mile pole. Finish line is the 16th pole, and Hypersport trying to get there first from Benedict Canyon. Here comes Matarea after the top 2. She's within a length of the lead. Secret Oath catches the eye. She's moving up, going to need a way through. Secret Oath might go 4 wide, might stay at the rail, 2 from the front. Many chances, top of the stretch. Matarea makes her move, and is Matarea and Hypersport. Secret Oath is now up into third, and she's 2 from the front. Matarea has the lead. Hypersport. Here's a 3 wide Secret Oath, and now Secret Oath has stormed to the front, and she's suddenly 3.5 lengths in front of Matarea. Then comes Miss Chimita. It is Secret Oath. Look at this run to hide away and win. Secret Oath won by 7 in the end. Matarea was second. Miss Chimita third. Hypersport finished 4th.
The acceleration. Secret Oath engages the favorite, Matarea, Andy, and in a blink, she kicks clear and opens up.
This is an exciting moment for you, Lafitte, because now we have one guaranteed Kentucky Oaks starter.
She will be there.
Wayne Lucas wins
She will be
impressively,
there.
going 2 turns to the 2-year-old, soon to be 3. She'll be in the Oaks. She'll be in the Godmother Goose, the Alabama, the Coach Cup. She'll be in all of
The
them.
famed
Wayne
Martha
is there.
Washington.
Listen, the race was set up for closers by the fact that the 3 Benedict Canyon went on a mission against Hypersport. So we'll give Hypersport a little credit. Nothing to Matarea, who's had a perfect trip behind them. This horse moved up. I said to you on the turn, who's the 6?
Loaded.
And you said to me, she's loaded. And boy, when Contreras put her to the outside, she just buried the field. This was a big performance. Looking forward to see as one does. And, a lot of people thought when the Arrogate starts stretching out and get a little time, we'll see what happens. Well, this is a runner from Arrogate.
Daughter of Arrogate for the Hall of Famer, 4-time Kentucky Derby winning trainer D. Wayne Lucas, Louis Contreras guiding home Secret Oath onward and upward. And 2-time winner now. That was great. That was awesome.
That's what happens when Jonathan and I agree. 4th as the second choice.
Blindsided, off the board.
2 idiots.
Secret. Name for a horse, 2 idiots. There's Kavod. He has been impressive, having rattled off 2 straight. Stretching out now. We'll see him tomorrow in the Smarty Jones. First step towards the Arkansas Derby at Oaklawn.
This is the horse.
He is just too good.
This is the horse who became only the second champion 2-year-old to win the Travers in 3 decades. This is the horse who is the only Breeders' Cup juvenile hero ever to lift the Belmont Stakes. History-making brilliance. That's his essential quality. Essential quality. This is the horse. Just imagine.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
It's a domineering display by the ultra-talented McKenzie. McKenzie preservationist Vino Rosso and Yoshida. McKenzie's in front.
McKenzie, they've done it. McKenzie has it by 2.
It's McKenzie in a dominant performance. Pure class in the Malibu.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Back to America's Day at the Races, as always, brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. Secret Oath, remember her name. Watch her blitz this field. You're saying, all right, let's see what the favorite does. I see an exciting stretch. No. Secret Oath is gone in a blink.
So the short stretch didn't come into play here. I don't know about you. I think way too much is made of the short stretch. I know one thing. That short stretch conversation at Del Mar led a lot of very great riders to move prematurely in a lot of races. I can't blame them. That's all they heard for a week. It's a short stretch, a short stretch. You know?
It's like the tight turns at Pimlico, right?
Right. Well, the infamous non-existent tight turns at Pimlico. Yeah, right.
Superimposed Churchill over identical. Essentially,
it's the greatest.
Identical.
You could really have a lot of fun writing an article, lies in horse racing. You know, the fantasies in horse racing.
The perfect author.
Nonsense that people spew, none of it being true.
You know who had a lot of fun at Pimlico? Smarty Jones in 2004 in that Preakness Stakes, coming off the Kentucky Derby win. Smarty Jones tomorrow at Oaklawn Park, but we relive his greatest moment on the racetrack on a rainy, cold day at Churchill Downs. Smarty Jones, the favorite. When favorites didn't win the Derby, Engage's Lionheart, as Tom Durkin said, who was all heart with Mike Smith on the inside, but Stu Elliott goes to work. Smarty Jones would not be denied.
I'm going to say I was never his biggest fan, and he was better than I gave him credit for, but I will say, you mentioned Pimlico, his performance in the Preakness was breathtaking. That was a legitimate great effort. You know, maybe a mile, let me say something, and this is not a knock on Smarty Jones. Birdstone was a very, very good horse who was very unlucky. I mean, he won the Champagne. He ran in a sealed track in his stake races before the Derby. Then the rain, I mean, I always regretted that it rained like that so hard. And Smarty Jones deserved it, and Lionheart ran home. Everybody else didn't show up. And then, you see what Birdstone did, and everybody acts like Birdstone just got this, meltdown in the Belmont. He was never more than 4.5 lengths off the lead. And then he won the Travers. I think it's a credit to Smarty Jones that he ran as well as he did in that race against a horse like Birdstone. I don't think it detracts from him. I think it actually adds to his legend. I'm just sorry he never ran again.
Paving the way to Kentucky through Arkansas, and I'm not going to put you on the spot and come up with one horse, but there aren't many that have been more popular than Smarty Jones over the last fill in the blank 25, 50 years. I don't know.
I don't think I don't know that I could come up with one. he had an enormous following. I know people liked, Songbird, American Pharoah, the Zenyatta obviously had a lot of fans and stuff. But you're right about Smarty Jones. He had a universal appeal. That's why I didn't like him, because everybody else did.
It's what made that call.
Yeah.
Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. Tom Durkin, it was how the entire racing world felt in that very moment, seeing Smarty Jones suffer defeat for the very first time in the Belmont Stakes. Smarty Jones tomorrow, 3-year-olds at Oaklawn Park. First step towards the Arkansas Dirt. Big field. This isn't, Caddo River last year scaring them all off. You have 14 3-year-olds going a mile, $250,000 purse. And what about Kavod here, Andy? We know what he can do sprinting. What about the stretch out to be ridden by Francisco Arrieta?
When you get a $3,500 yearling claim from you for $50,000, you're happy until they come back and win a stake in their next start. He ran well, but he's got to stretch out. Is not a trainer who has particularly good numbers off the stretch out. 18 for 145, 12%, 97 cents for every $2 bet.
Is that bad?
Those are not good numbers. And Chris Hartman's a very good trainer. He's sort of not a name that's on the radar a lot, but he's good. I guess listen, this is a wild race. I don't like Homebrew. I think if he's the favorite,
why?
I just don't think he's very good. I thought he beat a weak field last time out. He also was able to do it controlling in the front end. You've got significant speed from the 2 all in sync. I think Kavod has more speed. I think the 7 Rugs has more speed. So unless there are significant scratches, I just don't see him working that kind of trip. I honestly think that the best horse in the race, if they were going a straight line, I'd bet Ben Diesel on the outside for my man Dallas Stewart. But post 14, no thank you.
Get the Smarty Jones run at Newmarket.
There you go.
Wouldn't be a problem. Just go dead
there you go.
straight. If you can figure out who's going to be in front, I'll tell you who's going to win. 5 straight winners of the Smarty Jones in wire-to-wire fashion.
Wow.
5 straight.
This pace has got to be quick, though. They got to be moving up front.
And it's not just maybe producing a Derby prospect. Some of the horses that have won the Smarty Jones will take charge. Eventual 3-year-old champ, Travers winner, Caleb's Posse, Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner, beat Uncle Mo in his comeback in the Alan Jerkins, correct? On the undercard of the Travers.
The King's Bishop at that point.
King's Bishop back then. Flat out, 2-time Jockey Club Gold Cup winner. So it's not just potential Derby prospects. Future of what a Smarty Jones winner
pretty
can
cool
accomplish.
that Flat Out won it, isn't it? I mean, he was one of the coolest. I would never have got. He was such a cool horse. He running for Scooter Dickey back then. He ended up with Bill Mott, and he was a tremendous horse. And he finished his career winning the Cigar Mile here.
2-time Jockey Club Gold Cup winner. Flat Out. The road to the Kentucky Derby through Oaklawn. That Smarty Jones paved. American Pharoah, Andy's all-time favorite horse, starts tomorrow with the Smarty Jones.
I love
Southwest and Rebel both at 1 mile and a 16th when the points really get serious. And then, of course, the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby, early April, 100 points to the winner. And back then when Smarty Jones won, it was a Grade 2. It was horses like Smarty Jones winning the Arkansas Derby why it became a Grade 1.
You knock me. I was perfect with American Pharoah. I picked him once, the Travers.
So that's what happened.
By the way, having picked Keen Ice in both the Haskell and the Belmont. So I really got American Pharoah. I just nailed him. I was really smart with him.
He's a closet American Pharoah fan, one of his all-time favorites. I know one of your favorite races, the Jerome, because of its history, what it's represented to New York over the years. It's changed a bit in terms of what it represents. Now, as these 2-year-olds are about to turn 3, the first step towards the Wood Memorial, New York's premier Kentucky Derby prep race.
No, I know. You and I were texting about it the other night, and I was talking about that great, when it was a Grade 1, when Fu Peg beat El Corredor and Albert the Great, Hook and Ladder, our friend Mig rode. The Jerome has been a great race over the years, but now it starts out our year, and it's 10 points in the trail. And, I think if you look at the Smarty Jones and you look at Jerome, there's sort of a common theme. There's nobody in this race you've ever heard of, and there's nobody in this race where you go, he looks like my Derby horse, but I think you've got a wide-open Derby. I mean, you really do. There are many, many more questions and openings than I've ever seen for a Derby at this point, and I really think it's hard to imagine looking at these 2 races that there are major Derby contenders in there, but if there turn out to be, I won't be shocked.
And it's everybody gets Derby fever. It's fun just discussing these newly turned 3-year-olds. It's exciting talking about, Cookie Creek drawn inside in the Jerome. Andy, a 2-time winner coming in, second in the Nashua, Cookie Creek. Manny Franco to ride tomorrow afternoon. How good of a prospect do you think we're talking about here?
Well, he's improving, and this was a much better effort than it looks. Cook Creek was 3-4 wide around the racetrack, and this was a day where the inside was a real advantage. And while the winner drifts a little bit here, he was on the rail until he drifted a bit in the stretch. And this was a Baffert horse that came in and ran a big fig. He was a big favorite in there. So he was a horse that ran his best race against the racetrack in his last race, so he seems to be progressing. I picked him in here. I thought that the 3 major players were the 1, 6, and 7 in this race. The 1, Cook Creek. The 6, Courvoisier, who was very wide last time to win, and I thought Mr. Jefferson ran okay in the Remsen.
Some of those names: Mind Control, the Lumber Guy, Girolamo, Tale of Icati, Dahar, Discreet Cat, Silver Train, eventual Breeders' Cup Sprint winner. Back then, when it was a late summer, early fall, Grade 1 race, those horses would thrive at middle distance races. You see all these Cigar Mile winners, Vosburg winners, and again, now it has changed. A 3-year-old prep. Excited to see these newly turned 3-year-olds tomorrow afternoon.
You may not know this, or you may have actually been there. When Discreet Cat broke his maiden in his debut, Stan Huff had him. He got a 105 buyer as a 2-year-old on the same day that Lost in the Fog won the King's Bishop, which became the Allen Jerkins, and I think got a 100 buyer. So technically, I think it was slightly different distances, but he ran a faster race for figure makers, winning his debut than Lost in the Fog in a Grade 1.
Wasn't his name brought up recently when Flightline went Flightline in the Malibu? Some other horses in recent memory that had put up relatively similar type speed figures, and Discreet Cat's name I remember being mentioned as well.
Somebody used Discreet Cat to suggest that was a knock on Flightline.
Oh.
And I said, Discreet Cat ran some great races. You can't call him a great horse because he didn't have a great career. The same way I wouldn't call Arrogate a great horse. He ran 4 great races. He needed to have a full, complete career to say he was a truly great horse. But he ran great races. And Flightline is complimented by saying that he's comparable to Discreet Cat, not criticized.
We'll have a further discussion on Flightline as we wind things down here on New Year's Eve. Dark here in South Ozone Park, New York. Tomorrow, though, the racing resumes and the road towards the Wood Memorial with the Jerome tomorrow winner takes home 10 Kentucky Derby points, as does the Withers at 1 1/8. The Gotham, how do you feel about the distance back and forth to a certain extent, from 1 mile to 1 1/8?
Well, the way people run their horses now, nobody's going to run in all 3 anyway.
Sure.
So I don't have a problem with that. And to be honest, I love the Gotham.
Yes.
The Gotham, to me, is the race that says we're getting into spring here. You know, it's early in March. It's almost spring. The weather starts changing. And I have so many great memories of great Gotham winners, horses like Gone West winning that race. So I don't mind at all. I like that it's in the middle. And so what? Why is it supposed to be so traditional? And with the way people run their horses, they'll run in the Withers or into the Wood, or they'll go 1 mile in the Gotham into the Wood at 1 1/8. So either way, I don't think it really affects things. I like it, and I love the Gotham.
3-year-olds tomorrow, newly turned 3-year-olds. We'll have it all for you right here on America's Day at the Races. The Smarty Jones at Oaklawn Park and the Jerome right here at Aqueduct. And one left at Oaklawn Park. Horses in the paddock for the 9th, post time in 12 minutes. Stay tuned.
Good Magic's in front. Good Magic pulls away from Solovini. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Good Magic to the front of the field in the Toyota Bluegrass to win it. The champ is back. Good Magic in a good-looking performance.
800,000, 75, 875, 8.5, 775,000. Thank you.
So glad we could have you spend your part of your New Year's Eve with us. New York City. Ball will drop at midnight, and every registered thoroughbred in North America turns a year older. We touched on the 3-year-olds. Thanks for joining us on America's Day at the Races. Brought to you in part by Naira Bets. But any track, anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Get started at nairabets.com or download the app. Riders up, Andy. One left at Oaklawn.
This is a tough race. You've got a Diodoro horse off the claim, the 11. I'll give you a ridiculous long shot to use, throwing at 60 to 1. Sunny Isle Beach turning back in distance.
Is that the one angle?
I would throw that horse in my super somewhere in 3rd and 4th. Yeah, that horse doesn't want to go long. How about Diodoro off the claim at 8 to 1?
Diodoro, who we mentioned in the first 9 days of the meet, 15 claims at Oaklawn Park. Won the first race of the summer at Saratoga, a leading trainer a couple of years back at Oaklawn.
He wins a lot of races. I'll tell you something. You've got Joyful Cadence, the 9, as a horse off a 6.5-month layoff. This trainer, 4 to 8 month layoffs in dirt sprints, is 0 for 13 with none hitting the board. Just pointing it out. Bad trainer stats on a 5 to 2 favorite.
Having to concede 5 to 2. John Ortiz with Joyful Cadence, the first run happy offspring to ever win a race at Oaklawn Park.
Wow.
Answer to that trivia question.
Trivia question that
you got me on the Count Fleet earlier off air.
You got me on this one.
Got you on this one.
The Count Fleet is the stake race that Smarty Jones won at Aqueduct in the first week of January. He's a 3-year-old. That's when the love affair really started, and that's when my dislike of him started. It's they're not mutually exclusive. I'm a bad person.
That's why you're blocked on Twitter by Irad Ortiz.
Irad Ortiz.
They say, somebody asks him, why'd you block Andy Serling on Twitter?
He's a bad person.
He's a bad person. It's a bad man.
I like Irad. It's okay. I can. I've managed to make it through these days.
The feeling is mutual. Post parade, good purse, 100,000. Fillies and mares, 6 furlong sprint. Hard street at 40 to 1.
Has never been on a dirt track before. Tries dirt for the first time running on synth. The dam actually was a dirt horse. There's no experience from the foals on the dirt.
There goes that team again. Florent Giroux, Brad Cox, Palm Cottage, the 5 to 2 choice now.
And it's an OXO. This horse cost a lot of money at the yearling sales. Hasn't lived up to it, but obviously a contender.
$575,000 purchase. A Let's Cruise at 61 to 1.
Yeah, this horse, another one, never been on a dirt track before. Has only run on the turf. Big price.
Lightning Fire, winner last out on synthetic, Presque Downs.
Never been in the dirt. 3 of the first 4 horses have never raced on dirt. This one's been on turf and synthetic. Have to get much faster.
Code name Kate for Chris Hartman.
Okay, why is this horse 12 to 1? I guess the best figures in the wet track, but
9 to 2 on the morning line.
Yeah, I would agree more with the morning line. I would have gotten this one on the morning line too, so I'm not going to knock the morning line maker on this one.
Kaboom Baby, Louis Quinones is looking to go back to back.
This is another one, 12 to 1 in this horse. What is the second off a layoff? Has run okay. I know he's running against Arkansas breds, but running fast enough races.
Giovanni Franco here. No, that's Oscarette.
Yeah, 3rd career start. Has run well enough for Steve Asmussen. Another horse that's not impossible. Another horse a big price in here.
Ms. Blue, Francisco Arietta, 9 to 1.
This horse has a ton of speed, but has to outrun Oscarette in her inside.
Joyful Cadence, the run happy filly.
Listen, I mean, she's run well in her starts, but you've still got a horse for a trainer off a long layoff. Does not have great layoff stats, so that concerns me.
John Ortiz, number 10 here, Sunny Isle Beach, 3-time winner off the board in her lone start at Oaklawn.
She is going to outrun her odds. That means she is going to run
That's
at least 4.
Bomb your blowout for the last race of the year.
Ridiculous bomb.
At Oaklawn
Love
Park.
the turn back for her.
Well spent, David Cohen.
How often do you get a chance to get a big price on a Robertino Diodoro off the claim from Bentley Combs? This horse, I guess she'd probably have to improve off most of races, but her last race, the best figure she's run recently.
Melting Snow, far outside. Renee Mesquier looking for another win.
Looking for 2 wins in her card today. We'll see.
One more. We close the show 4 minutes out to the New Year's Eve nightcap from Oaklawn Park. We'll be right back.
Start spreading the news. If you're looking to win in New York, then breed in New York. To War Dancer, the millionaire son of Warfront, and New York's #1 sire of 3-year-olds. Breed to a proven performer, the #1 second crop sire at the Saratoga meet with multiple winners at Belmont and Aqueduct. Earn double the New York Breeders' Awards and participate in the New York Stallion Series with $2 million in purses. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York. Visit wardancerstud.com.
Grade 1 winner and track record setter Lee. Like their sire, his runners have excelled on both dirt and turf, including these standout performers.
Leading by 3, Gibberish and Dylan Davis.
Out of a Galileo mare, this dual-surface star has sired juvenile stakes winners on both dirt and turf. Lee, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Updated odds for the 9th and final from Oaklawn Park. Good allowance sprint fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and older, $100,000 purse. Giovanni Franco, represented by Gary Stevens, riding the 7 Oscarette. Gary, a filly you're quite familiar with.
Very familiar with Lafitte. I've been fortunate enough to manage a group of racehorses for David and Holly Wilson, longtime owners in Southern California. They won the branch out. He's branched out over the last couple of years, having horses run clear across the country. I was able to pick this filly out at the OBS sale last year as a 2-year-old, and had a few little hiccups along the way, a little late getting her started. But listen, the filly that she was second to first time out at Keeneland came back and won a stakes race in her next race, and I was almost glad that she got beat the first time, because she would have had to jump in with a group of horses like she's running against today. She was able to run in a maiden race there at Churchill Downs and get her maiden broke. I about had a heart attack that day. Joel, I thought he could have got a little busy, at least for me, but I'm glad that he rode her the way he did. Look, Steve's horse has improved with every out. She's meant to improve again today, and she's going to have to improve. This is a tough bunch of fillies in here. So I'm as nervous as, a guy can be right now, and just hoping for the best. Guys?
Gary, you gave everybody on Team American Pharoah a heart attack on Oscarette Sire firing line in the 2015 Kentucky Derby. What do you remember most about that particular race?
Well, I thought that I really had an excellent shot coming into the stretch. I knew that I had Dortmund, who was on the lead, the other Baffert, anytime I wanted him. And I heard Victor Espinoza encouraging American Pharoah a long ways out from just past the 3/8 pole. I could hear him grunting and chirping to him, and I could hear the slap of his riding crop down American Pharoah's shoulder. And I got this big smile on my face as we entered the stretch. And firing line, he failed to change leads that day. He stayed in that left foreleg all the way through the stretch, and tired with me a little bit, but he was gallant in defeat. We got beat a long neck at the end of the day. And listen, this filly, she reminds me a lot of firing line, her daddy, and her appearance, and with her mind. She's got a very, very serious mind about her. She knows what's going on at all times about. Listen, she's got a lot of speed. I wish she had drawn outside of the other speed just to her outside, because she's fast. And I told Giovanni, I said, listen, you don't need to get in a hurry with this filly. She's she's set just off of it before, and very capable of being able to do that. So ideally, I'd like to see that 8-horse clear her. Get to the outside, sit a trip, maybe lay in second just off of her. And but I told him also not to take anything away from her. So we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, he's the pilot, and he's got to ride his race, and that's what I told him. I said, you just ride your race. So, guys.
Closest any horse came to defeating American Pharoah in that Triple Crown firing line. He had good tactical speed, Andy. So does Oscarette, as displayed in her maiden win mid-November. Churchill Downs prompting the pace, striking by half length.
It's tough to see there not being a fast pace in here. She's got an extremely fast horse on her flank in Ms. Blue, so I think that's going to make her job tough, and something that Gary alluded to. We'll see. They break their maidens, things get tougher. This is a very, very contentious field. In my opinion, the edge in this race and betting it is to bet against the 9 at 5-2. I don't trust coming off the layoff for these connections, even though on paper she makes an enormous amount of sense. But this is a very, very hard race. I'd look for horses that might be a square enough price, like the 5 Codename Kate, or even the 6, Kaboom Baby. Horses, the 11 Well Spent off the Diodoro claim. There are horses that are prices that I might try to get at the number somewhere with my ridiculous 10.
Who was the bomb? Oh, the 10.
The 10 at 46 to 1, getting 4th. I'm keying in 4th in honor of an old friend of mine. I'm going to key the 10 in 4th.
What's the story with the old friend? Who's the old friend of yours?
My friend Jim. He used to often have supers by keying horse for 4th. It's a legend, true legend.
Let's see if it works. 49 to 1, final race of the year at Oaklawn Park. Right back at it tomorrow afternoon. Live coverage from Aqueduct and Oaklawn. 3-year-olds in the Smarty Jones. 3-year-olds here in New York. In the Jerome. But first things first is 9th and final. In this 6-furlong sprint for fillies and mares. 3-year-olds and older, $100,000 person. Again, the favorite. First run happy offspring to win at Oaklawn, Joyful Cadence, but Andy is a play against in this spot.
I think that there are some trainer stats, especially on short prices, that are worth looking at. And you have a very good trainer in John Ortiz. 4 to 8 month layoffs in dirt sprints the last 5 years. Is not only is he 0 for 13, not a huge sample size, but none of them have hit the board. And to be fair, a number of them were big prices. She's probably the best one of anyone, but he has not had any success. We'll see.
Ortiz training some very fast, very talented sprinters at Oaklawn Park. Mucho, Hollis, and you'll see them in the triumvirate.
He got a big fig when he beat
Oaklawn.
Nashville. I want to see it again to believe it. I don't buy it.
You don't buy it?
Nope.
He's good. He is fast.
I know. I don't want to listen. Our man Randy Moss makes those buyer figs at Oaklawn, so I don't want to knock those.
Don't you dare. Those are fighting words.
I
We're
love
gonna have a
Randy.
problem. Post time for the 9th and final last race of the year from Oaklawn Park. One final time. Here's Vic Stoffer.
And well spent. Now the final 2 to load. Well spent. Post 11. Melting Snow on the outside. She's moving up now. They're in the gate. And they're off. And a good start here. Ms. Blue, as usual, right to the lead. And Joyful Cadence gets out in second. Oscarette moving up from between rivals now. And then to the inside comes Let's Cruise. And to the outside, Well Spent. Well Spent sits about 5 wide. Racing in 5th. Back to the inside, Palm Cottage in the red is a very tight 6th. Only about 2 lengths off the lead with a half mile to go. Then about 2 lengths to Codename Kate, followed 2 lengths farther back by Melting Snow, who has an outside path in the clear. She's in front of 4 runners. The back end of the field is Sunny Isle Beach. Hard Street on the inside. Lightning Fire from in between runners. And Kaboom Baby is a long way back there trailing the field as they come to the final quarter mile. Up on the outside, Well Spent. Well Spent making a nice 3 wide sweep at Ms. Blue, who's been there down on the inside, and those two hook up, and Joyful Cadence under a full drive right between those two. Here comes Melting Snow way down the middle of the racetrack. Farther out, Kaboom Baby is in high gear. Palm Cottage is in behind them and is defeated today. Melting Snow and Kaboom Baby. It's going to be Melting Snow winning it to Kaboom Baby. Joyful Cadence ran 3rd and Well Spent 4th.
Wild finish, like a cavalry charge. Melting Snow, Ricardo Santana at Oaklawn Park. Second win, Renee Amescua.
You know, I just wanted to let people know this. Lafitte threw this at me while we were during the race. Just
What, do you think
pointing
they
it
want
out.
proof?
I got to tell you something. By the way, Joyful Cadence just ran huge. He only got beat about a length there. They were moving up front, but a 2-win day for Renee
Amescua.
Congratulations,
Melting Snow.
sir.
Thanks so much for joining us. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow afternoon. Also, by the way, that was Jim Byers calling at Oaklawn Park. Vic Stoffer did go home sick. Hope everything is okay, and hopefully we hear him on the mic tomorrow at Oaklawn Park. Again, we will see you tomorrow afternoon, New Year's Day. 3-year-olds today, the final stakes race of the year in New York, as you saw earlier. And how good was this 3-year-old filly earlier on the program for trainer D. Wayne Luquist. Onward and upward. Maybe we will see her in the Martha Washington. Talk about all those 3-year-old preps tomorrow afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow on America's Day at the Races.